This is the voice of the Report of the Week, signing on. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone listening. This is VORW, the voice of the Report of the Week. With a VORW. VORW it is. A new VORW. And, I hope you enjoy it. Yes, sir. I do. September the 1st. First day of September, and I hope September will be a month of VORWs to come. I hope to start getting this back on track and start anew, as I say. So much to read, letters and more letters. I thought to myself, I said, when I start this show, I'm just going to say, I'm not going to even say anything, I'm just going to read the letters, and that's it. But I thought, I don't want to do that. I really don't. It's my own show. I can control it as I please. And I want to talk a bit on it. That's what I want to do. I don't want to just confine myself to reading letters and feel like I'm trapped on my own show, that, I got to read these letters or else. I'd rather talk for a bit, incorporate time and room for letters, and should I run out of time, or I want to get it up tonight. That's why I'm setting myself a deadline here, and I want to adhere to it. But let's say I want to read some letters, but I also want to talk a bit. And if I don't get to all the letters, we'll get to them the next show. I'm going to mark down which ones I've read, which ones I haven't read, and anything in between we'll read on the next show. Alright. But I just don't want this show to be only letters. I don't want to feel like I'm trapped on my own show. And I want to have a little bit of open discussion as well. You're wondering how I'm doing. I'm doing better. I am. Thankfully, the situation has been improving, slowly but steadily. And that's good. Any type of improvement is good, and steady improvement is even better. So that's good news. Thank you for all your concern, though. It's appreciated. And, that's what's going on there. It's been a while since I did the last VORW show. I get it. It's understandable. But, there was, number one, other things going on. Number two, lack of resources to use it. There's all sorts of audio programs you can use online, use on a third-party site, but I'm old school. I like getting on a desktop, using the good old Windows Movie Maker, outdated version, putting this together, and then making it there. And I couldn't fit that in a car. I didn't have the power to do that either, so I was dead in the water there. And now I have access to some resources, at least at this point. I'm still on the road, but I am settled in a little nook right now. I'm able to record these, so that's good news. It's good news. Alright. Hope you're all doing well. Hope everything's going well for you. September. School's in session, ladies and gentlemen. So, if you're going back to university, college, high school, if you're going to any sort of establishment of education below high school, i.e. middle school, elementary school, preschool, I can't tell you what to do or what not to do, but I just think you're a bit too young to really, be sitting here wasting your time listening to me. Just how I see it. But hey, if you feel confident and capable to do this and sit here and listen and watch the channel, fine. Welcome to. Yeah, I remember school. I remember those days. I'm glad they're over. That's all I can say about that. That kind of tells you my impressions of how my days there went. Glad they're over. Glad it's something I'll never have to relive again. Time is a marvelous thing, yet it never fails to scare me. I remember a couple days ago when I went and did the review for... What was that thing I did? What was it? What would I review? What was it called? What's that thing? The chicken, the Popeyes. Popeyes, a bona fide big box that they release on an annual basis. I was actually disturbed, believe it or not. I was. Now, you get the trolls and the unaware people. They're going to say, hey, review bra, you look like you're 16 years old. I can assure you that I'm not 16. I'm in my early 20s at this point. I have a baby face. I understand that. I know that doesn't help at all. But just keep in mind that I'm older than I look, and there's other people that are too. So I'm not the only person in the world to have that predicament. But that being said, I was finishing my meal after I finished filming, because I considered that to be my meal of the day. I was gonna snack on some of that Popeyes. The 2 pieces of chicken, they were good. Enjoyable, yes. Very delicious. It's not like after I shut the camera off, I just take the food and throw it out. Said I'm gonna sit for a little while, and I'm going to enjoy my $5 bona fide big box. So I sat down a bit. I ate the wing, enjoyed it. It was real good, real nice and tender and crispy, well breaded. Ate some of that, and it was a thigh. Ate a bit of that. Delicious. Some fries, mashed potatoes, gravy, very good. Biscuit, that's iffy. I wouldn't hesitate ripping it up and throwing it for the birds in the parking lot. But I took a bite out of that anyways. I'm eating. It's a nice, slow day. No one really around. And there are some other benches around where people can sit and eat or, sit outside, watch the birds, whatever. Take in the nice day. And I see this grandmother, old granny, probably in her 70s, mid-70s, probably 75 or so. By no means a frail elderly lady, but, you can tell she's a grandmother, She comes along with her 2 grandkids, maybe, 2 granddaughters, one 6 years of age, perhaps, another 10, both young children. And they have a seat, it looks like they got a little chicken meal from Popeyes, perhaps. You ever know when some people sit near you, you don't want to listen to what they're saying. You have no care about what they're saying. Yet they're so loud and proud of what they have to say that no matter how hard you try to ignore it, their conversation just floods your ears no matter what. I remember one time I was in a White Castle. This was many years ago. And there were these 2 people sitting behind me, and I never like eavesdropping. But they were sitting there. They were talking about this party they were throwing. I mean, the guy was just so damn proud of it, And oftentimes that type of pride that some people have is not a good thing. But he was just saying, yeah, and at my party I got all this, and I got that, and, 27 people are showing up, and I spent $500 on this, and I got the catering from here, and it's gonna be such a good party. I mean, he was just saying it so loud. And I was just thinking to myself, my God, can you just shut up, please? I know you're proud of it, and I know you're You know, you're proud of this party you're going to be throwing, but come on, not everyone else in the establishment needs to know that you're throwing a party. Unless you're going to invite me and give me some nice free food, no need to just say it like that and blurt it out to everyone there. Keep it quiet, loud enough so that the person you're talking to can hear it. That's all that matters. Not that the whole world will say it or hear it. But, you know, you get those kind of people. Just so loud, perhaps inadvertently, but maybe intentionally as well sometimes. And these are that kind of people. Granted, they're kids, they don't know any better. But old Granny didn't make any effort to try to quiet them down either. She seemed like she just cared about her chicken, and that's it. And the kids just had to come along. But, so they're talking. And it disturbed me what I heard. Really. There were these kids, again, probably 6 and 10-year-olds, young children, talking about their latest smartphone. You know, one of them was just sitting there on I think it was, I don't know, what's the big social media site they all use nowadays? Snapchat or something? I think one of those sites anyways. Sitting there bragging about the latest posts on their social media, talking about, I kid you not, the rappers they were following, and you know the kind of content those people really post on social media. Nothing a young child's eyes should be viewing. And then one of them was asking old Granny for cash so that she could buy some camera to start to maintain her YouTube videos and everything, and this, that, and the other thing. And they were so technologically savvy, it just freaked me out. You know? They could probably navigate their way through the internet and through smartphone technology and social media far better than I ever could. And, you know, I'm like 15 years older than them at this point in time. And it's just scary, you know? When you see it, this is the youth right now. And this is how they're growing up. I mean, no other generation in recent times has grown up with this. I mean, yes, every little generation experiences its own technological improvements, but the internet, that's a whole different story. I mean, there's a difference between growing up with radio, television, video games, and then being able to grow up with the internet, where with the click of a button, if mommy and daddy aren't around, they can, you know, a 5-year-old can end up going to 4chan and see all the porn and gore that their little hearts desire. I mean, young children's minds, I hate to say it this way, but they're innocent and corruptible, and it's one of the main periods of development and growth, and being experienced to all of these just horrible negative things on the internet, I just can't see how that does them any good for the future. I just already, just by seeing all this, then today actually, I went out because I had some business to take care of, and driving by this little park, I saw, this kid sitting on the swings, but he wasn't swinging or having fun. He was sitting there looking down at his phone, and again, he was only about 5 years old. Real young kid, his feet weren't even touching the ground. He wasn't swinging or having fun. He was sitting there in the sun on his phone. And when I see that, it just gives me no hope whatsoever for today's youth. I already say it's another failed generation in the making. Just scary, that's all. I say, I'm gonna keep living the life I'm living for as long as I'm able to live it. But soon, believe me, once the older generations, they all die off, and once really almost every generation is able to access and interact with smart technology, smartphones, social media, having every detail of their life published online, you'll see what's going to happen. Government will essentially make it mandated as so that you need to have smartphone and you need to have this and that, and you won't have any say if you don't want to. No, sorry, you just got to do it, whether you like it or not. No freedom in that regard. So, clock's ticking down. Maybe you got another decade left at best. But, you know, if you're in the same situation as me, you're not a fan of this world today, you're trying to live a life that doesn't incorporate constantly looking at a phone and social media and the internet 24/7 and all of the, just all of the vanity and narcissism that comes along with it. Clock's ticking down. Clock's ticking down, ladies and gentlemen. 10 years at most. So, enjoy what you have and the life that you're living while it's still there. It's really pessimistic to say, but I realize that now. I've come to that realization. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. Unless you want to live off the grid. You can try that, but you really got to be an outdoorsman. You got to have a lot of that technological skill. And that I do not possess. So, make the most of it while it's there. That's what I got to do. Same thing with my hobbies. It's all going down. It's all going to disappear. 10 years from now, it's all going away. It's a very distressing time right now. I'm able to still live comfortably right now for the interests that I have, but it's ticking down, and it's not going to last forever. I mean, nothing can go on indefinitely. The universe, even one day, will have a heat death, if you believe in that theory. But I don't know. I'm just on the wrong side of things, that's all. If I accepted and embraced the digital world, well, the future's only getting brighter and brighter. But, hey, it's just how it is. Just how it is. Oh, well. It's how life is. Picks you randomly, and sometimes you get screwed in the end. Not everything's bad, but, just there's some aspects of life and society that are diminishing. Oh, well. I remember back in 2014 with the channel. I always used to say, in terms of the channel, not life, mind you, but the channel. See, I consider the events that happen in the channel, YouTube, and the events that happen on my personal life, two different things, two different entities. So I could say I had a good year on YouTube, but my personal life could have just been awful. So I say a good year doesn't actually mean things were actually going well for me. They could have been going great, and I could have had a bad year on YouTube, Just know when I use that terminology, I'm not talking about my personal life. I'm talking about simply how I view the YouTube channel and the events therein. I remember back in 2014, 2 years ago now, I remember saying in some of the VORWs, it's all preserved, you can listen. I remember saying, the golden age of this channel was 2012. 2 years prior. I had a small, tight-knit community. No pressure. No worries. More freedom to do and say as I please. And at that time, I was happiest with YouTube. And it was the golden age of this channel, The Report of the Week. Retracted, redacted, not anymore, null and void. I don't think 2012 was the golden age of the channel anymore. I think, in terms of how the channel was doing and developments with the channel, 2014 was the golden age. And perhaps it's my own deluded nostalgia, but that's how I see it, and that's what I think. 2014 really was the golden age, and while I preached about 2012 being the golden age, I lived right through it and didn't even realize it until 2 years later. Funny how it happens, huh? 2 years from now, I'm going to be saying 2016 was the golden age of the channel. But now I look back at 2014, and I say that was the golden age of the channel. Had, yes, a larger, but still relatively tight-knit community. Was able to upload reviews and VORWs frequently, without consequence. Was able to have regular writers for the VORW show, which was very semblant of the community of 2012. And again, I felt as though I had more freedom back then in terms of YouTube. What I could say, what I could do, etc., etc. So, for anyone who remembers, back in 2014, me saying that 2012 was the golden age of the channel, it's not anymore. 2014 was. And guaranteed, I bet, I'll wager $1 on this. 2018, I'm still sitting here doing these VORWs. I'm going to be saying 2016 is the golden age of the channel. I think it's cyclic. I think every 2 years I'm going to say that it was the golden age, and I'll just keep moving it up. But that's when I think the channel was at its best. 2014. That's what I think. That's what I believe. That's how I see it. Could it change? Yes, but just given the circumstances, I think 2014 was the best year of the channel, undoubtedly. Given everything that happened on YouTube, everything that came from YouTube, 2014, without a doubt, was the best year this channel had. And nothing, by far, nothing compares to it at this point. Not to say 2016 isn't bad, or 2015 wasn't bad on YouTube. They were good. I mean, right now, for instance, I'm experiencing the largest growth of this channel it's ever experienced. I mean, I have 82,000 subscribers now. At the start of 2016, I had 40,000. Took me 5 years to get 40,000 subscribers, and now in only about 9 months, I've doubled that number. But they're numbers. That's it. That's what it is. Doesn't matter how many people are watching. 2 or 22,000, or anything in between. What really matters is how the channel's impacting people, how it's affecting people. And if it positively impacts one person, that makes it all worth it. But I'm not going to sit there and saying, yeah, great, 82,000, like, come on, let's get 100,000 subscribers by October. I don't see any reason. I mean, what am I going to get from 100,000 subscribers? What? Nice little plaque to hang on the wall. I don't know, it's just something that never has gotten to me. Numbers and all that, it's just numbers, Could have 10 million people watching, not going to be any different. All that matters is why people are watching. People watching seriously? Am I a laughing stock? I know it's a bit of both right now. But you can't control that. It is what it is. Shortwave radio. Earlier in the month, last month, I did a shortwave broadcast. 3 transmissions. WBCQ Monticello, Maine, 7490 kilohertz to the United States. Shortwave service via Gavar in Armenia, 12075 kilohertz to South Asia. Calv, Germany, shortwave service, 6005 kilohertz. Central, Southern, Western Europe. Reception of the broadcast was great. It's received across the world. Recordings were given of it, too. But many people wrote in and enjoyed the broadcast. It was transmitted 100 kilowatts to South Asia. That was the main broadcast. The other two were there for anyone who didn't listen, but the broadcast to South Asia was a great success. Great success. Made it into India. 5x5. Great signals. Started in Malaysia, Australia, Japan, China. Heard in Russia. Throughout Europe, Germany, Spain, Austria, Czech Republic, France, the UK, Ireland. Broadcast was even received in Florida, United States. So I was heard all the way from Japan and Australia to Florida. This transmission was spanned almost 3/4 of the globe. So it was a great success. VORW had reached, it was the farthest reach of VORW ever. And, I played some music and talked a bit, and people liked it. People who weren't into shortwave, they said, why'd you waste, $80 playing some stupid music for some guys in India? Well, why do people collect baseball cards? It's just useless pieces of paper. Because people enjoy it. Just because you don't doesn't mean other people won't. Gotta remember that. Not everyone's as perfect as you are. Any other happenings in shortwave out there? There was a broadcast the other day from Radio Prague. Now, I know this is a day late, so, the broadcast itself has come and gone. But it was the 80th anniversary of Radio Prague. Radio Prague is the primary broadcasting service of the Czech Republic. And the announcement says, here's a quick heads up for listeners in Europe. I realize and hope that listeners in Europe who may not be aware of these transmissions will find the time to tune in. I also hope that people in places outside the target areas may also have luck with listening in. To mark the 80th birthday of Radio Prague, there will be a number of one-off transmissions today, 31st August 2016, on shortwave. It is understood that the schedule is to be as follows. 1630 to 1700 hours UTC, Russian to Russia on 9535 kilohertz. And this is all via Armenia, 100 kilowatts. 1800 to 1830 UTC, German to Europe on 11845 kilohertz. 1830 to 1900 UTC, French to Europe on 11845. 1930 to 2000 UTC, Czech to Scandinavia, 9885 kilohertz. 20 to 2030 UTC, English to Scandinavia, 9885 kilohertz. And 21 to 2130 UTC, Spanish to Southwest Europe, 9405 kilohertz. Radio Prague says on their website that they will issue a special QSL, which will only be for the above transmissions. Relays are provided by Shortwave service, who normally transmit via CAL. However, the shortwaveservice.com site says that the transmitter being used for the above broadcast is in Armenia, not CAL. I will certainly be tuning in. And I listened. I listened via the WebSDR, and I thought to myself, I don't know how much luck I'm going to have with this, but I'm going to try to tune into the English broadcasts as well. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to try. I can just step outside, and why not, right? So, stepped outside, and believe it or not, it did propagate in. I made a quick recording of it to demonstrate reception, which is present here. Here's the recording.
Shortwave service. Transmitter Armenia. 985 kilohertz.
You can see the signal's audible, but it's not extremely strong because I was pretty far outside the target area. It's being beamed to Scandinavia, but it made it in over here at least.
Radio Prague News.
The great gymnast Věra Šáslavská has died at the age of 74.
And it was a nice program. Started off with the news, and they had a 15-minute segment discussing the history of Radio Prague, radio, and the future of radio. I mean, I'll be listening as long as there are stations to be heard. I'm not putting down my radio or turning it off anytime soon. Alright, let's see if there's anything else going on with the world of shortwave here. Let's check the newsletters and see what else meets us. So let's see. If you're interested in the station, the mighty KBC, which every Saturday evening plays oldies for 2 hours, beamed to North America. So if you're a North American shortwave listener, you like old music, and you want to hear it on shortwave, I got good news for you. They will be continuing their transmissions, and they will be changing their frequency to a lower frequency in order to better reception in North America. Original frequency was 9925 kilohertz. It is now 6145 kilohertz via Newton, Germany, from 0 to 0200 UTC to North America. And that'll be on September 11th. That's when that change is going to happen, so stay tuned for that. In other news, the Voice of Vietnam, unfortunately, is going to be reducing transmissions. So keep note of that. They're going to be reducing transmissions. Good news, if you're in North America, they still will be transmitting on, I believe, 6175 kilohertz and 7315 kilohertz. Both in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. But all of those broadcasts will be directed to North America, so if you're a North American shortwave listener, you will still be able to hear the Voice of Vietnam. Bad news, unfortunately, is if you're in Europe, well, shame to say, you're going to have to try to tune into the North American broadcasts or do some DXing to try to hear the broadcasts direct from Vietnam to be able to catch these ones, because now the following broadcasts to Europe have been eliminated. Seems as though they've cut 8 broadcasts. Let's see. English, Vietnamese, English, Russian, French, German, Spanish, English, Spanish, Vietnamese, and English. So all those broadcasts to Europe, 8 in total, are now off the air and presumably will be forever. Shame to say, but you still have a chance. 6175 and 7315 if you do want to listen to the Voice of Vietnam to hear the latest updates and happenings from Vietnam, straight from the source. Or if you want to listen to some Vietnamese music, learn some Vietnamese culture, maybe even learn to speak Vietnamese, you can still be able to hear the Voice of Vietnam. I think Vietnam's an interesting country, and whenever you hear about Vietnam, everyone still thinks about Nam and the war. But there's more to it than that. Of course, that's one of the big events in the country's history and what it's known for. But there's still more to that to check out. If there's anything else, let's see. Is there anything else in the world of shortwave to report? Those are the main updates that have come to fruition. Let's just check out this site here. Shortwave forum it is. Sometimes they post, some news and updates as well. Let's see. Let's see. Nothing here. And nothing there either. Paul Walker had his broadcast of music, which I did not listen to. I refrained from listening to that for good reason. But again, it's for you to decide if he has any other broadcasts. If you want to listen to him, be my guest. But I didn't listen, and I didn't have any urge to write in. It is what it is. I'm going to be honest here. In this show, I originally went in here seeing how many letters I had to catch up on. Granted, there were a lot. YouTube inbox full, both emails pretty full. And I said, we got so much to read, I'm going to miss a few. I'm not going to have a question for this program. I'm just going to catch up on all the letters this show and the next. But I decided to come back into this because I'm done with the VORW now. I've answered all the letters and all the emails. And the show is still a pretty standard length, just a bit over 3 hours. So you know what I thought? I probably read about 95% of all the letters I got. And if I tell people not to write for the next show, what fun is that? The letters really, they're what, it makes the show what it is. It adds to the diversity in it and adds to discussion and questions and everything in between that I wouldn't ever talk about otherwise. And it's a great way to be able to communicate and connect with the fan base and the listeners. And I thought, you know what? I know earlier when I recorded this show, I said I'm not going to do a question, but scratch that. There's going to be a question for this show. There is. All right, so if I tried to cut out the part where I said I didn't want to do a question, but if later in the show you hear me say there's no question, just ignore that. Ignore it. Because there is a question for this program. Question for this show, simply put. And this was brought on by something that I had recently gained an interest in again. I've always been fascinated by cryptid beasts, the cryptozoology. That's, creatures like, say, the Loch Ness Monster and Mothman and Bigfoot. These legends that people say exist, and people present limited evidence with, but have not been scientifically proven at this point in time. I think it's a fascinating thing to see, and I believe one of the most famous, cryptids out there is, of course, Bigfoot. Now, it goes by names in different parts of the world. You have Bigfoot, Sasquatch, the Yeti, the Yeren, and everything in between. And reports from all around the world of these, these very tall, probably 8 to 12 foot tall, humanoid yet ape-like beasts that seem to be bipedal in nature, very elusive, yet at the same time perhaps aggressive. And people report them all the time, thousands of sightings a year. I call them blob squatches, blurry little pictures of them, sometimes video. You have shows that go out and try to prove the existence of these creatures, usually with great futility. And it's an interesting subject. You bring up, do you think Bigfoot exists? And it always draws debate. You get people that say yes, and you have people that say no. For a while when I was younger, I always thought Bigfoot existed. Then I said, no, there's no way a creature like that can exist. Then about a month ago, I began reviewing pictures and examined the Patterson film with great detail, and I went through a phase again where I said, perhaps Bigfoot really does exist. Now, just after using logic, reason, science, and looking at background information of everything, I have to say that, Bigfoot and, beasts like Bigfoot, the Yeti, all of these creatures as so, I wish they existed. I say, I want to believe, I want to stay optimistic, but as of now, I think unless a real small population somewhere exists, it's just a product of many people's folklore, imagination, and nothing more. I think it's pretty creepy still, and I'm sure more pictures and videos and whatnot will come in the future, but unless they ever find any physical evidence, it seems unlikely that such a creature actually does exist. But my question for all of you, do you believe, and I'm going to focus on creatures like Sasquatch and Bigfoot, but you can focus on any beast of your choice, should you wish. Do you think that beasts and creatures like Bigfoot exist? Yes or no? Do you think they exist? And if you think they exist, and more importantly, if you or anyone you know claims to have ever encountered one of these creatures, and you have a story, feel free to share it. It'd be very interesting to see if anyone has ever actually claims to have encountered one of these. I never have. Never once. Don't know anyone who's ever had. And my view is now that it's unlikely that any of these creatures exist. But, if physical evidence ever comes my way, and I'd be pleasantly surprised. It's something I want to believe in. I think it'd be interesting if they did really exist, but it seems unlikely at this point, and all signs point to no. But that's the question. Again, if do you think that creatures such as Bigfoot exist? Yes or no? And I think it'll be an interesting show. I imagine my prediction for the next show is that the majority of answers will be no, but maybe a few interesting stories mixed in here and there. Thank you for listening. This is just a little interjection, kind of changing up what I originally had intended for the show, because I think adding a question will make the next show a whole lot more fun and interesting. Thank you, and you can always submit your answer via one of three means: youtube.com/user/TheReportOfTheWeek. Click on the About tab, send the message, type the contents of your message in, and off it goes to the YouTube inbox. Or if you're more of an email person, repweekinterview1@gmail.com. That's repweekinterview1, 1 at gmail.com. And if you want to show the other email address some love too, feel free to. VORWinfo@gmail.com. That's VORWinfo@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Fan mail portion continues now with the reading of letters in the YouTube inbox. I hope you enjoy the program. This is VORW, the voice of the Report of the Week. Hello, Report of the Week. While listening to the current VORW, I figured I'd type up some questions for you. I apologize for what might be a lengthy message. Have you ever watched the hit television program King of the Hill? I ask because you remind me of the main character, Hank Hill, who was one of my favorite television characters. He also feels scared by a society that's changing rapidly and is at odds with his ideal lifestyle. If you've seen the show, do you agree? If you haven't, I highly recommend it. It's brilliant satire and one of the very, very few TV shows that I bother watching. I used to watch it back in 2014. Used to watch it on Adult Swim, the Adult Swim network. I would watch it at 5 or 6 a.m. I forget which one it was. Right before I'd go to sleep, I'd watch it, and I never thought of it that way, but perhaps I could draw some parallels there between good old Hank Hill and me. What is your ideal shortwave radio receiver? Oh, the Texan PL660 still. You know, I know there's like some $400 receivers out there, but I think for what it is, the PL660 does a great job and does a fine and adequate job as the receiver that it is. Of the following meals, what soda would you recommend be paired with each one? Pizza Hut pepperoni pizza. Standard Coke for that. It's a good meal. Standard Coca-Cola. Actually, scratch that. Vanilla Coke. Vanilla Coke for that. Burger King Mac and Cheetos. You're gonna need something strong with that. Mountain Dew with that. Subway meatball sub. I see root beer going with that, and a stack of pancakes with maple syrup. Go with Sprite. That one. Need something to offset that. And a final thought. I know my opinion is late to the party, but I think it's awesome that you did the Soylent review. I think you worked hard to get your channel to the size that it is, and because of this, people are willing to contact you for sponsorship and promotions. This is something to be proud of. This is not trying to con your viewers, but simply a result of hard work and success on your part. Fans should be happy for you, not disparaging you. Just my 2 cents. Thanks for all that you do, from Andrew. Thank you for writing, Andrew. Thank you very much. Hello, lecturer. In commentary to your answer in this week's question of friends, I would have to say I would not blame you for having only one friend. My old roommate from college stated that we were friends, but as soon as he moved out, he never contacted me again, despite going to the same college. Inherently, some people are just rude, and sure, there are a few nice, genuine people in the world. It may feel like a pain sorting through all the scum to find one decent person. Yeah, very well said, my friend. I do not mind doing this sorting, as cutting connections with these terrible people is easy, since I usually don't use Facebook or give them my contact info. I'd say I have, maybe 15 actually good friends that I keep regular contact with. Please have a nice evening, and I wish you a great meal from the fast food joint of your choice. Thank you for writing, and very well said. Very well said. I think you're absolutely right there. A lot of scummy people out there. Most human beings are. You gotta find the few that aren't. It's like finding diamonds in the rough, and believe me, there are. There's plenty of people who are good people, but most of them are scumbags. Most humans are. Not every one of them, but humanity is a disgraceful species. Nothing to change. Nothing will ever change that. Let me change the screen here. There we go. That's better. Dear review, brah. I'm a relatively new listener of the VORW show, but a big fan of your channel. I'd like to give you my answer to the question you asked in the last VORW. How many friends do you have? First, I'll give you some background info so you can understand my situation. I'm 17 years old, and I'm fixing to start my senior year of high school. past 3 years, I've had multiple friends that I regularly hanged out with, but as of now, they are no longer a part of my life. The reason said friends are no longer a part of my life has nothing to do with them personally. I think they are overall great people. Has more to do with my disposition of being a more reserved person. I usually didn't share much of myself with them, only the bare minimum, thus the relationships I had with them became a one-way street. There were many complications and misunderstandings between myself and them because of this, and eventually I intentionally cut them out of my life for the time being. So as of right now, I currently have 0 real friends. I'm not sure if it was the best decision I've ever made, because I still don't know if I'm comfortable having little to no friends. As I've said, I'm in my late teens, I'm still discovering myself and such, but it is what it is. Anyway, thanks for reading my answer, and I have 2 questions for you regarding my answer. Number 1, were you or are you a reserved person around your friends, IRL? Well, I believe the true definition of a friend is someone you can trust, and I'm open. I'm an open person. I think if you don't feel open around someone who you consider a friend, they're not a friend. Say what you please. You can say, well, they're my besties. No, they're not. If an individual cannot feel open around someone, that's not really friendship. There's a difference between an acquaintance and a friend. You could have an acquaintance who's someone you could hang out with, have a good time with, chat it up with, discuss fine topics like politics and the economy with, and share that over a slice of pizza and a cigar, and just go down to the piano lounge, and that's an acquaintance. A real friend is someone you can go and, if you have some real personal problems, and you can feel comfortable sharing it with those people and discussing it, and they'd be willing equally to help you also, and you'd be willing to help them. I'll get to that in the next question. Also writes, do you think I should reconcile with my past friends now that I know why the relationships I had with them didn't work out? Well, first and foremost, you need to discover about yourself first. Let me tell you a little story, and maybe it'll, if you're listening, hopefully it'll help out a bit. Years ago, when I was in high school, I was in a situation similar to yours. I still am, very introverted, even reclusive. I was back then too, but I had acquaintances, not friends. Now I expressed my personal definition of friends versus acquaintances. I had acquaintances back then, a good number, maybe 20 or so. But I didn't feel necessarily comfortable with them. Just in your situation, just as you said, it was like a one-way street. Very reserved. I let them do the talking, and I was nothing more but a keen observer in silence. Never said anything, never contributed to anything. I'd sit at the lunch table with them. Never really hung out with them. They were acquaintances, That's all. Just acquaintances. Of course, when you're in high school, everyone's your friend, That's just how it is. That's how a lot of people see it. I think you're a bit wiser for the wear. But most people see everyone as a friend, Oh yeah, that guy that sits next to me in homeroom and copies my homework, he's a friend. Well, not really, but that's the high school definition of it. But I had these acquaintances, and I just didn't seem to fit in with them. They were loud, they were boisterous. Yeah, it was never a dull day with them, but they were just loud, they were boisterous, all they wanted to talk about was what they jerked off to last night. And, who they would bang. And I didn't have anything to contribute to that. I wasn't interested in talking about that. Rather disgusting. And I didn't feel comfortable around them. And then sometimes we'd go out in public and eat in a restaurant, and there they would be, just talking about that with regular people just having their lunch sitting in the table next to us. I felt so ashamed and embarrassed with them. I said, you know what? Forget it. Cut them all off. And I felt a lot happier, a lot more comfortable, a lot freer as well. No more commitments I have to make. No more responsibilities there. It's awesome. And years later, do I regret that decision? 100% not. Absolutely not. No, I know. Not at all. You gotta see how you feel about it. And you gotta see what kind of person you really are. Are you an introverted person? Or are you an extroverted person? And only you will know that. And you know. How do I feel? Do I feel completely fine not having any friends, no one to talk to? Am I fine alone? I'd say, yeah, I was able to function. Gotta see how you feel. You fine alone. And if you doubt that, if you doubt those claims, you think, no, I really do miss having these people around. Perhaps consider a reconciliation with them. Finally, I'd like to conclude this letter by thanking you once again for putting together a wonderful show that I now look forward to listening to. Take care. Sincerely, Aubrey. Thank you for writing. Hello, Review Bro. This is Miles here again with a response to your question about how many friends I have. About 2 years ago, I had a group of 8 friends that I always hung out with. We'd play video games at each other's houses, go to Six Flags every once in a while. But now I realize that the whole time I knew them, I was pretending to be someone I wasn't. I always knew they would abandon me if they knew one secret about myself that I couldn't change, decided that it was pointless to be friends with those people if they didn't know the true me. I somewhat cut them out of my life. I stopped talking to them, and I started searching for some people I could truly be myself around. And I have one best friend that I've known since 5th grade, and at the moment I do know about 20 people that are more of my type, but none I ever consider to be close friends. I'm pretty young, so I still got a lot of time to sort that out. Thanks for the interesting question, Review Bro. Thank you for your interesting answer. And, I think you did the right thing. And I think that's a very good definition you have. If you don't feel, and this also goes for the person beforehand, if you don't feel like you can be your true self around these people, they're not friends. There's people out there who you can be your true self around. It takes work, but you could find them. Granted, the internet makes it a bit easier, but it can still be a difficult task, nonetheless. Let's make sure I'm still recording. Indeed we are. Howdy, Review Bro. Fraser the Aussie. Thanks for reading my poem. I actually quite liked hearing it out loud, and you did a great job delivering it. I might write more poems in the future for you to deliver. I originally wrote a sonnet for this message, however I wasn't happy with it, so I scrapped it. Lacked a coherent narrative and theme. Thankfully, the weekend mentioned in the poem is long behind me. I have a lot of friends, surprisingly. I'm very shy, so it's not easy for me to make friends, but I got lucky. Had a lot of friends in high school as well, but after high school I realized we all had nothing in common and lost all of my friends. My friends in high school were the kind of friends that made me feel insecure. They weren't really great friends at all. But then I went to university, and I remember on my 3rd day of university in my French class, I entered a room with 6 tables that could occupy 6 people each. And I said to myself, crap, whatever table I sit on might determine whether or not I make friends in this class. So, like tossing a coin, I sat at the only empty table in hopes that fate would sort it out for me. 5 others later sat down, and I had won fate over. I made friends with all 5 people on that day, and through each of these separate people, I was introduced to even more friends and acquaintances, and through them, more friends and acquaintances. The reason I'm telling this story is because it frustrates me how such simple actions, like where you sit in a crappy French classroom, can change your life forever. I've counted my friends, and I've noticed that almost every single one I have is a direct result of sitting down on that table. If I didn't make that simple choice, I might not have a single friend. These friends have affected my personality and have influenced my decisions in hundreds of ways. I guess you could say they've changed my life. Having no friends is very understandable. Socializing is draining, and there's always the fear of being hurt or getting involved in drama. However, in the year between high school and university, I had no friends, so the loneliness I suffered was just too unbearable for me. I may be shy and introverted myself, but I need someone to be with, someone to discuss my ideas with, someone to reflect myself off of. Sometimes you just need to find the right friend, someone you connect with. Having a good friend to talk to is like playing a good game of tennis. You bounce off each other in exciting ways, increases the healthy side of your ego, boosts your self-esteem. Having a group of good friends can bring a sense of belonging and family. You know, the girl I wrote in the poem, got over her in less than 2 weeks. Being around my friends made me feel less alone, made me appreciate what I had, rather than worry about what I lost. If I had been in complete loneliness, I would have had nothing but my own thoughts to talk to. And we all know the brain isn't a positive person to talk to. But to each their own. I just wanted to share my views of having friends. Thanks. I hope you're doing well, Review Bra. Keep on reviewing. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for writing. You always write in regularly, and I always like your letters. And, you know, I'm glad you're able to find your place. And it's crazy, really, how just how the sporadic nature of things is. Simple decisions, which you think have no influence or impact whatsoever, are actually life-changing ones. But, you know, I'm glad it worked out in your favor, I am. And I'm glad you have the friends that are there for you to keep you going, and glad they were able to help you through those trying times as well. I did have friends, this is a new letter. I did have friends, but I've basically got none. Had a few hundred, but I had to leave them. Spent some time in the mountains with a blacksmith. Came back and hundreds of my friends had been killed. And this gay friend I had in prison, I rescued him, and he tried to bleep my girlfriend. He got in a vehicle and drove into a lake, and then his necklace did some weird bleep. Long story short, my friends got killed by some evil gods, and my GF God feels bad, man. What an insightful letter. Beautiful. Masterpiece. Best I've ever received. Report of the Week, greetings. It's been quite some time, I regret it, but I've not written in an extremely long time. The reason is simple. I've been uploading so many videos over the last few months. This, of course, is a good thing. I'm very happy to see how healthy the channel is these days. Unfortunately for me, though, it means I've got quite a backlog to catch up on. It feels weird to write in not caught up with the VORWs, but I realized that if I did not write in while behind, it would be an even longer period of time before I could finally send another letter. My question for you is in regard to food trucks. What do you think of them? When I was a child, I loved the show Monk. Made me a germaphobe of sorts. So for me, I always looked down on food trucks. but I held a very ignorant and misinformed stance on them. It's a sort of a low-income, low-hygiene source of food. When I started a job, we would have a food truck stationed in front of the building. There was a different one each day, and they would usually rotate back every few weeks. And I realized from trying them, in a lot of cases, food trucks are the absolute best food you'll ever find. At a restaurant, they have to cover the fees of rent, lighting, cleaning, staffing, etc., and usually have a lot of things on the menu so as to attract the most amount of customers. Food truck, on the other hand, can focus on a small yet refined menu, providing the best food possible. It's easier for them to make a profit. Gotten quite a few Mexican restaurants not far from me, such as Azteca, but there's a lot of local taco trucks that are by far superior to their products. If you had food truck food, were you impressed by them, like I was? Or are the ones by you not so great? Hope you're doing well, Lord Review Bra. Keep up the good work. P.S. If you come across a black cat with eyes that shine like emeralds, do not look her in the eyes. There is darkness there, and you will never return to your former life. If you come across her, simply guide her to the nearest Taco Bell. Her name is Fiona. She means you no harm. She is simply hungry. Thank you for writing. And, food trucks. I haven't really been to many food trucks, but I've heard very good things about them. Very good things. So even though I haven't really been to that many food trucks, I do already hold a high view of them, and I think I gotta examine it by a case-by-case basis, because granted, there are many food trucks that I'm sure have magnificent food, and there's many who also have quite horrid comestibles to offer as well. But, you know, I'll be honest, I've heard a lot of good things about food trucks. And should I see one and be in the opportunity to try it, I will. I'll gladly give a food truck a go, you know. I think you made the right choice by trying it out, and, you know, clearly I bet it exposed you to a realm of new cuisine, you know, food truck life. And, hey, I'm glad it worked out for you. Dear description of the 7-day duration, I wanted to respond truthfully to your question, and I intend to do so, but first I must discuss how I think that it doesn't matter how many friends we have. What is the definition of a friend anyway? Are friends people that we can trust, or people that you hang out with to have a good time? I'd personally define my friends as people that I can converse with for a while, or just have a good time with. I could also do this with friends I made over the internet, but I honestly don't know if I can consider people I've never seen in person as friends. It could also depend on whether you consider teachers, parents, professional acquaintances, and kind strangers as friends. By kind strangers, I mostly mean people on the internet, especially the ones that don't immediately tell you to kill yourself because you don't express your opinion on something. The internet is a great place to meet people, and just generally have a good time, but I think we put too much trust into it. The internet has so much data in it, and if you think about it, it's truly mind-boggling how currency, which has the most value out of anything in the world, is pretty much completely imaginary and stored on the internet. Soon enough, all currency will be virtual, and paper notes and coins will cease to have any value whatsoever. And this is what the secret organization has been aiming for since the Renaissance era. Before we know it, the blackout will happen, all of our beloved virtual currency and online friendships will be wiped out forever, throwing us into terrible economic depression that will have to revert us to slavery just to preserve any concept of an economy. I personally think internet friends should be considered friends, because if you can't have any physical interactions with them, it isn't necessary, but it definitely should be possible. So excluding any internet friends, I'd say I have about 5 friends, all of which I occasionally talk or hang out with. Hope you enjoyed my letter. Sorry I got a bit off topic, just noticed I trailed off during my writing, but I have a few questions for you. Do you agree with me when I said internet friends do not count as real friends? I disagree. Respectfully, but I disagree. I think friendship is not necessarily defined by how many times you hang out with this person, or if you see the person in person, or if you converse with this person, but rather the bond you establish with this individual. And just because you don't see the person doesn't mean that you can't establish a better bond with an online person than the bond you can make with someone you know in real life. I think it's all about just really trust. You can find a genuine person online, and you can trust them with your deepest, darkest secrets. That person is a real, true friend, regardless if you've seen them in person or not. That's my 2 cents. And the second question is, why can't we remember the future? Well, same reason why we can't remember the past. We can remember what people have told us about the past, but, I mean, where were you on October 2nd, 1371? Exactly. Thank you for taking my time to read my rambles about the internet. With sincere thanks, Sully. Thank you for writing, Sully. Hello, review brother. Couple questions. Are you watching any of the Olympics? If you played an Olympic sport, what would it be? And, first question. I watched the Olympics, some of it. And, I'd be an Olympic golfer. Because that's the one sport where I could probably still wear at least semi-formal attire and get away with it. And, well, when you go to a fast food place to get food, you usually do it from the drive-thru, or do you go in and get the food? Usually I do it from the drive-thru. That's just how it is. I don't like having to go in there and seeing everyone looking at me. I don't like it. Just a lot of malicious people in those places. Up to no good. Drive-thru is the safest bet. You don't have people, in there just, giving you the evil eye. Getting bad vibes from them, Drive-thru, play it safe every time. I mean, if it can't be avoided, it can't be avoided. But it's the most comfortable thing to do. Dear lecturer, I begin this mail by answering your question from last VORW. Now, I'd say I have one friend right now to stretch, that being my on and off girlfriend. However, sometimes it feels like I have no friends at all, which is fine by me also. If you had asked me this question a year ago, I would have answered with 10 or so. However, over time, I slowly became distant with any friends that I gain. It has gotten to that point. I don't really bother anymore. I've lost count of the many best friends that I had, all of which leave in the end. I still go to the bar with people, but only because they go there anyways. But outside of this establishment, I don't see any of them. I suffer from many trust issues, and I prefer to distance myself from people these days, especially people that I know or have known in the past, but also feel the need to get out once in a while to reserve my sanity. Love to leave this town and start fresh, but I have a daughter with the girl I spoke about before, which makes this impossible. I asked her to move with me, but she wants to be around her family, for not only her sake, but for the babies too, so I must stay, regardless of what I may wish for. I have a very strange feeling of being trapped. I and one I know I cannot escape anytime soon. The only light right now is when I hold my baby and see her looking back at me. Sorry for this message escalating in the way that it did. But hey, it's nice to be able to vent my feelings once in a while. Thank you for your time. And thank you for yours. And I'm sorry to hear about your situation. And I know feeling like just a lab rat stuck in a maze with no way to escape, no way to get out. Just the same exact course and path that you have to take every time and every day. And you know you have dreams and aspirations of wanting to do this and that, but you're stuck. Horrible, horrible feeling. Just gotta focus on the good, whatever's left of it. Just gotta focus in on it, hone in on it. That being, of course, your baby girl. You know, just gotta focus in on that. You know? Just, try to find that to keep going on for. I know it's maybe a stretch, but just so you know, at least to have something. May not be everything I've wanted, but at least I've got something, and I've got this beautiful child now, and I'm going to keep going for her. And I wish you the best of luck in your endeavors, sir. I do. Dear lecturer, I have one person who is my friend. Bit of an explanation. Although the youngest of 4, there were enough years between myself and my next closest sibling that for all intents and purposes I was an only child and brought up somewhat sequestered from others my own age. I joke that I was socialized by the 5 cats we had, as they were my primary playmates, and I've never really gotten on with people since. A great deal of society perplexes me, and I work continually building a facade to function within its norms. This edifice runs counter to my real personality and projects a false image of who I am, causing serious disconnect and thereby hinders anyone from discerning my actual character. Add my pathological distrust and extreme negative self-image, and I feel lucky to have one friend. But enough. How are you at this midway point of summer? Are you having Dali-esque dreams due to the heat, or do you favor Picasso more? Myself have a tendency towards Jackson Pollock, and lose all ability at straight-line consciousness. This makes it jarring to arrive at work to the full on AC and have my poor brain try to snap back to some sort of semblance of order. I swear there's an audible pop as it tries. And now for something completely different. Came across this list of Roman virtues and was curious what you thought of it if there's time. Does it seem like a complete enough list, do you think? Again, thank you so much for what you do. I'd call you a sweetie, but you probably wouldn't like that. As always, Jackie. Thank you for writing. Regular writer there. And, well, I guess now it's starting to be the end point of summer. Hanging in there. Time is our ally. Time is our friend here. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. It is getting better. And it's gonna continue to get better. Just say that to yourself over and over again. Just say each day it gets a little better. Every day. Look a week back. And now look at the present. It's a bit better than it was but a week ago. Let's do this. These are the qualities of life to which every citizen and ideally everyone else should aspire. They are the heart of the Via Romana, the Roman way, and are thought to be those qualities which gave the Roman Republic the moral strength to conquer and civilize the world. Apologize my pronunciation here, but I'll read you the qualities. Auctoritas, spiritual authority. Comitas, humor. Clementia, mercy. Dignitas, dignity. Firmitas, tenacity. Frugalitas, that's frugalness. Gravitas, gravity. Honestas, respectability. Humanitas, humanity. Industria, industriousness. Pietas, dutifulness. Prudentia, prudence. Salubritas, wholesomeness. Severitas, sternness. And veritas, truthfulness. Thank you for attaching that. I think that's very interesting. And I think those qualities, it's a look at how long ago the Romans existed, to have these qualities, which I still think are very applicable today. To see if they came up with that shows you how far ahead of their time they were. You know, so far ahead of their time the Romans were. My goodness. They were. These Roman virtues still apply today, I think. And, but you know, guess what? The Roman Empire still fell. For its time, most advanced civilization on the planet, they still collapsed. How could the Roman Empire ever fall? I imagine some people thought it did. Really, it's amazing how things work, isn't it? But, despite being such an ancient, old civilization, you could still learn a thing or two from the Romans. Weren't a civilization. They weren't great by any means, but you know, they did some good things for humanity. Did some bad things too. What society doesn't, though? You know. Dear Review Guardian, I've always been a fairly sociable person, but also keep a relatively small circle of close friends. I have to say about 6 or 7 close friends. A lot of acquaintances. Mechanism I use to determine if someone is a close friend or not is if I would enjoy spending a day alone with them, and it would not be awkward. On another topic, I sent you a question about your desert discs. I feel it may have been lost in the YouTube mailroom, so I'll ask again. If you're not already aware, there's a BBC Radio 4 program called Desert Island Discs, in which celebrities, public figures, and others are invited to select their 8 favorite tracks of all time, as well as a book and a luxury that they would take with them on a desert island. And I attached the former Prime Minister David Cameron's picks for his desert island discs. Thanks, and keep up the good work, friend. Well, thank you. And thank you for that. I thought that was actually pretty amusing. I looked it up. And I also think that's a pretty good little system you got going to really determine if, those people are real friends or not. Very interesting, I think. Let's see what else we have. My name is Logan. I'm from New Zealand. First of all, I'd like to thank you for creating unique content, which is great to watch and listen to for a change. Finding your videos more interesting as time goes on. Anyway, to answer your last question, VORW 129, I have one real friend. Although I have many people that I know and talk to, they're not real friends. Not to say they aren't good people, they're just not friends. I have many family members that I love and spend time with, so in my opinion, that's all I need at this stage. Keep doing what you're doing, and I will continue to enjoy your content. Thanks. And thank you for writing in, Logan. And I'm glad you got family there to support as well. Okay. Where were we here? Okay, here we go. Now, is this this is... Yeah, okay. My guy got lost for a second in the YouTube mailroom. Hello, John. Just wanted to drop a quick line and wish you very formal and official congratulations on the latest Shortwave broadcasts. Sounds as though they were very successful. I just have to say, I think what you're doing is awesome. Once again, want to thank you for sharing this fascinating hobby with us. Can you please read the following lyrics on air? Mean a lot to me. Thank you. And it's from a song from 1963 by Roy Orbison, In Dreams. A candy-colored clown they call the Sandman tiptoes to my room every night, just to sprinkle stardust and to whisper, "Go to sleep, everything is all right." I close my eyes, then I drift away. Into the magic night I softly say a silent prayer like dreamers do. Then I fall asleep to dream my dreams of you. In my dreams I walk with you, in my dreams I talk to you. In my dreams you're mine, all the time we're together. In dreams. But just before the dawn, I wake and find you gone. And I can't help it if I cry. I remember that you said goodbye. It's too bad that all these things can only happen in my dreams. Only in dreams, in beautiful dreams. Roy Orbison, In Dreams, 1963. Take care from Miranda. Thank you for writing. Roy Orbison, everyone. A good artist. Pretty renowned. I think almost everyone listening's heard of Roy Orbison. Pretty sure he had a pretty expansive musical career as well. I know for a fact he was very big in the 60s, but didn't he also have a comeback in the 80s as well? Pretty sure he did. I have to look him up right now. Roy Orbison. I know he died in 88, but I thought he had a return to commercial fame. Career revival. His career was fully revived in 87. Yep, 87. I thought he made a comeback, which he did. Died at 52, real young. Yeah, I know people say 52 is so old because of that Lucas Graham song where in 7 years he talks about being 60 like the guy's 90. I hope my kids visit me once or twice a month. I mean, come on, when you're 60 years old, you're still going to be sitting behind a desk. You haven't even retired left yet. The song drives me nuts. 7 Years by Lucas Graham. Imagine we've all heard that song one too many times by now. Really, though, I mean, just because his father died at 61 doesn't mean that everyone else does, too. But singing "Soon I'll be 60 years old" sounds better than saying "Soon I'll be 86 years old." All right. This one is not to be read. This one is not to be read. This one is not to be read. This one's not to be read. This one's not to be read. And this one is not to be read either. Big fan of the show. Hope everything is going well. Thank you. Here we go. Dear the Report of the Week. Hello again. How have you been? From the videos, I see you're traveling. Hope the road has been treating you well. To answer your question, I have one friend that I made at the Kendo Club some years ago. We are paired up. We've been sparring and training ever since. To these days, we meet up twice monthly, busy as we are both with work. Before this ends, could I trouble you to read a poem? I've been thinking about exploring the old shrine not far from my house. Explores the fate of history and the ravages of time. Starting to feel old. Sure. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert near them on the sand. Half-sunk, shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive, stamped on those lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed, and on that pedestal these words appear: My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains, round the decay of that colossal wreck. Boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. And just to follow up, I forgot to say thank you and wish you well. Good luck with your future reviews and things. Thank you, and that was a lovely poem. Very nice, and I think it very eloquently describes the passage of time to a degree. Hola! New subscriber was wondering what your main job is. Just curious. I do YouTube. That's my job at this point. I know, people might say, well, how much money do you really make? Don't make a lot. And a lot of it goes towards the channel and expenses thereof, but I'm able to get by. And I would rather be impecunious but have this and otherwise. Hi, I was just curious, what are your computer specs? Hope you have a good day and stay safe from Ludwig. Oh, just the latest and greatest Alienware gaming PC. Those things still popular? I don't know, I'm not a computer person. I'm not. Anyone who's big with computers, do people still rave about Alienware? You familiar with that brand? Do people still rave about that stuff? I remember like 6 years ago, that was the big thing. Everyone was looking up and wanted an Alienware gaming PC. Is that still, the thing? Or have they moved on now to better things? I'm completely inept with that. I don't go Googling Alienware and seeing what that is and what its current status is, but if anyone knows, it'd be interesting. I remember that was the computer to have back a couple years ago. Not that I was ever interested in that, because I wasn't. As long as I can get an internet connection, I'm fine with that. I could be using one of those giant 1950s computers that takes up a whole room. As long as it loads the WebSDR and YouTube and, Gmail, I'm good to go. Dear lecturer, this is my first time writing in, but I've been a long-time listener. To answer your question, I have between 0 and 1 friend, not including my family. I say 0 and 1 because I think of my one friend as you, Review Bra, even though you don't know me. I printed your picture and stuck it on a mannequin that I purchased at a local thrift store. And when I listen to your VORW shows or food reviews, I look at my idol of you and find comfort, knowing that I have one person who wants to talk to me and be my friend. Maybe you find this strange, and maybe I am presuming too much by having you as a friend, even though you are just flat and taped onto a piece of plastic, but I still find it comforting. I spend a lot of time browsing my favorite Tumblr, just review bra things, and it feels like I'm seeing my longtime buddy, just hanging out and being a meme. Of course, I know you are a real person, and I know these are just things I'm saying to myself, but is it wrong to do this? My question to you is it wrong to have your face printed and pasted onto a mannequin? I also try to buy similar fast food as you are eating when I watch a food review. For instance, I didn't watch your re-review of the McDonald's Big Mac until I was holding it in my hand so I could watch you and take a bite with you. I hope this doesn't come across as creepy. I'm a nice guy, but no one seems to want to be my friend. Wishing you well, Justin. Thank you for writing, Justin, and I think you need to expand this endeavor. I think you need to branch out a bit. Go to the thrift stores, find a couple more mannequins, at least 5. Print out, and buy, like, thrift store suits, too. Dress them up. Dress the mannequins up in suits. Okay? Different suit for each one. And print out different pictures of my face making different expressions. Tape it on, and now you have a little Review Bra family there. And kind of maybe have them positioned around the table. Like that one, what is that painting of the dogs playing poker? Kind of have it like that, and you can set them up there. Or, better yet, next time you go out to eat, make sure you bring one of those mannequins with you. Sit him across the table from you, and make sure you get a menu for the mannequin, buy a meal for the mannequin, and get a little doggy bag for the mannequin too, so that he can take it home for later. Alright? I mean, they might be looking at you funny, but, you just gotta treat them like family. That's what I recommend you do. That's what I recommend you do there. So, best of luck to you. VORW129 fan mail, dear Review Bra. I'd like to start this letter off by telling you how much I enjoyed the latest episode of VORW. I was watching it late into the night yesterday with a cup of tea and a WebSDR recording of that day's broadcast of RRI. I found the article you read about the state of shortwave very fascinating, and it was a good way of reminding people that shortwave is still alive and kicking. In this modern world of technology, shortwave can still be an amazing hobby with lots to do and to listen to. In fact, a lot of stations on shortwave have things that we would otherwise never hear or know about. I think there could be a revival of shortwave as a hobby and a source of entertainment if only more people gave it a try. There's nothing quite as fun as having your reception report read out loud on the radio from the other side of the planet or getting your first QSL card. I'd like to remind people that it is very important to write or email these stations whenever you can. They need the feedback, and in some cases, they can consist a big part of the broadcast. Perhaps these stations should start to integrate audience participation more often. Perhaps invite people from other countries to express their opinions on certain matters, or even just ask them to answer a question of the week sort of thing as you do. Speaking of shortwave, I'd like to apologize for missing the most recent broadcast of VORW on shortwave. However, I hope it all went well and you received many reception reports from many countries. Wouldn't it be amazing if one day in the future you received a letter in the mail with a reception report from some distant village in Africa, some guy writing about how he was listening to your show while he was milking his prized goats and then decided to write you from the cool shade of his hut? That'd be amazing. As for this week's question of how many friends do you have, I suppose I have to be honest and say I have no friends. I have my parents and family, however most of them live abroad, so on a day-to-day basis, I have my mother to talk to, and I can't say I really have any friends in my life. I was a poor and awkward kid in school, and nobody wanted to talk to me, plus I'm an only child, so at a young age I got used to being on my own. I suppose that carried on into my adulthood. It's not to say I'm socially mute or anything. I can make conversation with random people and have a few laughs here and there, but that's about it. I don't even have any friends online, really, just some people I write to now and then. I think that most people don't really have as many friends as they truly think they do. There's an old Jewish saying, invite all your friends to your wedding and trick them by saying that there'll be no food, then you'll see how many true friends there are. My question for you this week is, what is your favorite kind of cookie? Anyway, I hope you're doing fine and hope your new tuxedo is working out for you. I look forward to seeing it on your videos in the future. Perhaps one day you'll try one of those $1,000 pizzas, the one soaked in champagne with gold flakes baked into the crust. Wonder if it comes out gold after you eat it. Yeah, good question. Favorite cookie, chocolate chip. Chocolate chip, it is. That's just what I'm always in the mood for, the chocolate chip. And yeah, that's what I got there. And hey, there's nothing wrong with no friends. Perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. I think I have a sneeze coming up. Is it going to happen or is it not? No, I thought I had one. I thought I had a sneeze coming up, but it actually duped me. Let's see if there's anything else left. And remember, if I didn't read your letter, we'll get to it in the next program. So don't freak out. And you don't have to write in next show. If you want to, you can. You don't have to. Alright, let's move to the email now. repweekinterview1@gmail.com. Let's just see if this is... No, okay. On to the next. Let's see. Alright, here we go. Dear Report of the Week, to answer your question, I have only one friend, my partner. We've been together for over 2 years now, and he lives around 200 miles away. But we have been friends for 6 years beforehand, and we cope with the distance. I have been trying to make new friends, and whilst it's sad to think that when I die, very few people will care, and I will be forgotten quickly, I have come to terms with this. I try to find fulfillment outside of social relationships, so I have a lot of time on my hands. Question: have you ever been on a boat? What kind? Overnight ferries are fun until seasickness sets in. Also, what's your favorite joke? Here's one. Where does a general keep his armies? In his sleeveys. So personally, I think in terms of, friends, I mean, quality over quantity, I think is what I've been reaffirming in this program. Doesn't matter how many you have, it's how comfortable you are. And, if just have one friend and that's all you need, that's excellent. If you need 20 friends, that's perfectly fine too. And if you don't need any friends, that's just fine as well. Yeah, I was on a boat. The longest boat ride I've ever been on was back in 2007. Back when I went on my excursion to the Great White North, Canada, and to Newfoundland, as they call it. I took a ferry ride. It's about, not too long, but it was about, probably a 5-hour boat ride. And it was okay. It was a nice ship. Had a little cabin in it even, but I couldn't sleep. It was just rocking too much. Well, the seas were not calm by any means. So, there's that. Favorite joke. I can't really come up with that off the top of my head. I really have to think. Usually, when it comes with me and humor, I don't usually think with scripted jokes. I just make up my own stupid dry humor as it comes. And that's what I always do. I don't usually have a joke that I just can just splurt out on the spot. But everyone's different in that regard. Thank you for writing, as always. Hello, Review Bra. Listening to number 129. I'm about to go to bed, so I'll respond to your question about friends. I've distanced myself away from my friends and have made one new friend I'm content with on keeping at arm's length. Friends in the past are often involved with drugs, or I felt like I was chained to them with their constant invites on Steam to play Dota 2, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, or Payday 2. These occurrences are often, and I rapidly distanced myself from them. Like you, I am content with my one friend. In my location, I never really bothered making many friends, as my area is very normal, with people focusing on Australian football, Marvel movies, or just work life with the Friday night alcohol binge. He says, and then a little opinion piece. I highly disagree with that matter, as I see the refugee situation to be severely mishandled on a global perspective. Here in Australia, we are receiving 12,000 Syrian refugees, to which I'm not pleased by, because I can see the in-group preferences this group of people form, as well as their reliance on welfare and taking low-skilled jobs from our lower class. I find it disgusting that multiple countries like Israel, Palestine, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, and the UAE take in 0 refugees, yet we Westerners have to take in people who are so different to us culturally and I dare say racially. It's not just the refugees from the Middle East. In Melbourne, Australia, there are gangs of Africans, mainly Somalians, who have made the crime rate rise because they're not from skilled backgrounds and resort to crime. We should be like Japan, isolationist, with immigration being heavily controlled. When you look at all things like birth rates, welfare, jobs, and cultural classes, refugees from vastly different cultures that we know are a risk should not be taken in at all. Instead, they should go to countries that are similar to them. Thank you for writing, and for your opinion, of which everyone is entitled to their own unique opinion. And everyone's entitled to an opinion to agree or disagree as well. It's one of the great things about free speech. People can say something you don't like, but you also have the option to counter back at them, or you have the option to agree with them. You don't have to feel forced to just have to sit there and not say anything. With limitations, you can't just scream fire in a crowded movie theater, of course. Hi, lecturer. Was going to wait a few days before writing this because I thought I might want to think over your latest question a little bit more before answering, but then I found myself thinking a little too much, so I thought I'd get this out of the way so I could stop. At the present time, I don't have any friends. In fact, the last time I'd say I had a good friend was around the 11th grade. When I was in 3rd grade, my teacher came to my house to tell my mother that he was arranging a friendship for me with another girl in my class who was apparently equally challenged in the friend-making department. It took, and we remained as such until middle school, after which we went our separate ways, and that I usually had one moderately close friend at a time, and the average number of acquaintances. That changed abruptly when I was 19 years old due to a life-changing event that I won't go into, except that just getting on with things became challenge enough, and making friends took a back burner to making a living and trying to find a purpose in life. Details aren't important, but I'd like to say that I think there's a misconception that people who don't make friends don't like people. I like people quite a lot, and I think we're all in this together, and we should be kind to each other, because life is hard, even for those who seem to have made it, or seem to have it made. It's just that I find in being around people, a little goes a long way. And I live what I think is a normal life, was even married for a time and held several interesting jobs in which I got along fine. But then I find I'm only at peace when I come home and close my door knowing I won't have to talk to anyone until I'm good and ready, assuming I'll ever be good and ready. Right now, being around people means putting on an act, I can do it, but most of the time, I would just rather not. Although sometimes, when I'm in a group of people, usually out shopping or waiting in line somewhere, I imagine how it would be if some huge disaster struck and we were all stuck together for an undetermined period of time. Who would take charge? Who would be the complainer? Who would I try to befriend if we ran short of supplies and things got ugly? I may be friendless, but I do have some survival instincts. That's very interesting to bring up. I know it's a long shot drawing this comparison, and I think I thought it was interesting, at least that you brought that up. A couple weeks ago, I had some free time, and I was I was looking up different movies, and I found out that I was actually thinking about the show Fear the Walking Dead, which is still better than The Walking Dead, by the way, in my opinion. I was thinking about, iconic zombie films, and I thought, the one that started it all, of course, Night of the Living Dead, the 1968, I believe, 67 or 68 movie, is an iconic film, and I found out it was public domain. So I decided to watch it on YouTube, because you can, it's public domain. And I thought it was very interesting, number one, to kind of see the first real, true zombie film. I mean, the last time I ever saw that movie was years ago when I was a lot younger, so to watch it now, have a better understanding of things, made the movie a whole lot better. Even though it's an old film, I think that it's withstood the test of time. But I thought one of the most fascinating things of the film, aside from the fact that, most of the characters come from a completely different generation and almost time period, back when, things were a lot more, you could say, a lot more formal in a sense. It's very interesting to see how people from that era reacted to things. But secondly, you can draw a parallel to what you said, how the film's plot involves just a group of complete and total strangers. None of them even ever knew each other before everything went down, and suddenly now they have to band together and, try to make it through and survive this thing. They're just complete strangers, but now they have to rely on each other just to survive. But very interesting, and I'll talk about that film another day, because I can say a lot about it. I can give my unpopular theory about the film, and who I thought was right in the end. But very, very interesting and very good film. Anyways, disasters aside, your honesty about your few friendships was one of the first reasons I found your channel so intriguing. It's not something that most people admit so freely, and quite startling to hear in regard to someone who's on YouTube several times a week and is approaching 100,000 subscribers. I'd say your willingness to admit that you run against the social grain is one of the reasons you interest so many. There's a stubborn courage in that, and it's pretty hard to find an eloquent introvert who's into broadcasting, so thank you for continuing, even when some of your audience turns obnoxious. Well, thank you. Quick question, since this is running long. How do you feel about avocados? I know it's not a very deep question, but I'm curious. I've had enough of deep for now. I think you've said you don't like salads, but I might be wrong. How about guacamole? And, do you really not like salads, or did I imagine that? Take care, and watch out for turbulence. From PS. Thank you for writing, and thank you as always, regular writer there. Now, avocados are fine. I saw a picture of one. I don't recommend, if you're sensitive to this kind of stuff, I don't recommend you look it up. But the thing that always gets me about the avocados is trying to open them with the knife. Because I saw a real wonderful picture from the ER where this guy was trying to stick the knife and open this thing so hard, and he was holding it in the palm of his hand, and you can guess what happened after that. The knife slipped, and, well, he had to end up in the hospital for a reason, right? But that's focusing on opening the receptacle. That's like saying, I have a box with, with a excellent Pizza Hut pizza inside. Say I have a phobia of opening a box, right? I'm scared of the box, not the contents therein. So in terms of avocados, I just don't like how difficult they are to open. But what's actually inside the avocados, I mean, I think it's paste-like, maybe a bit too much to my liking. But I think there's worse things out there. Sometimes I call them avogadros, but they're actually avocados. And I think there's worse things out there, honestly. can't believe people will sit here and listen to me talk about avocados and never... I don't know why. It's so off topic for me to say this, but I'm sitting here walking around, talking about avocados, and thousands of people want to listen to this. So bizarre. Weird. Don't know why you'd want to listen to this, or anyone. But hey, we'll go with it. Even if no one's listening, I'm still going to talk. Salads, on the other hand. This is going to sound weird, but I'll eat a salad if it doesn't have any salad dressing. Meaning, you put a nice bowl of lettuce, some tomatoes, let's say some cucumbers in there, nice little carrots chopped up, etc., etc. Maybe some croutons in there too, kind of balance it out. No salad dressing. I'll gobble that thing down. Soon as salad dressing goes on it, I don't know what it is about it, but I'm suddenly not too big of a fan. I'll just eat it plain and bland. I think that's when it tastes the best. Hello, Review Baron. I'm writing to you now for the first time in regards to the question you posed during the recent VORW shows. How many friends do you have? Personally, I have only one friend, a man I met while I was in high school. We spent a great deal of time together, as even at the time, we were each other's only close friend. And after graduating, we both almost entirely lost contact with everyone else who went to our school, save for each other. Later, however, he went to university while I was attempting to join the military. We both had military aspirations, but he was set on becoming an officer, which requires a degree, while I was content to simply enlist. To make the long story short, my enlistment fell through, and my friend was medically disqualified. Now, with no real plans for the future, I moved into the town my friend was going to school in and rented an apartment, which he'll soon be moving into as well. I'm not sure how much I actually like him anymore. He sometimes gets on my nerves, and we don't share as many interests as we once did. It almost feels like we stay friends only because neither of us has anywhere else in the world. I know it'd only be too much of a pain to break it off, but anyway. I've let myself get sidetracked. I don't mind having a few friends. I enjoy my own company, and find that having others around usually only limits what I can do with my life. It's something that I like about you. You don't seem to be out for attention or popularity. You just want to be a man who exemplifies your values and finds enjoyment in things you find interesting regardless of what anyone would say about it. Also have a few questions, if you don't mind. You mentioned in one VORW that you write your short stories down on paper first and transfer them to the computer later, so I'd like to know, how's your handwriting? Personally, there was a time in my life where I'd occasionally practice my handwriting while sitting at a computer, and so developed extremely good handwriting, particularly cursive. Unfortunately, as a side effect of this, I cannot stand people with terrible handwriting. I've met people who sometimes couldn't even read something that they had written themselves. Well, I'm sorry to say this, but you'd hate me then. My handwriting is about on par with a doctor's, and that's just the best way to say it. It's on par with a doctor's, but I like it. It's just a mixture of just slanted print and cursive. That's usually illegible for anyone but me. And I think it's excellent. I think I would rather have this type of handwriting any day than perfect handwriting. You know why? Because I could write whatever I want in public and no one's going to be able to read it. And it's great because sometimes people get a little nosy and they see, I wonder what this guy's writing. I wonder what this person has written down. Hey, they can look all they want, but they can't read it. It's like my own little personal language, if you will. So it's great. Only, really, I can understand my own handwriting. I mean, if needed, on official forms, letters, bills, invoices, etc., I need to write clearly. I can do that just fine, but naturally and comfortably, it's usually illegible, and I like it that way. That's how I like it. That's just how it is for me. Secondly, I like to know what jobs you've worked before becoming a YouTuber. In one of my earlier jobs, I worked at a fast food restaurant, which gave me much greater respect for people behind the counter. I couldn't keep up with the large number of rushes and lost that job after a month and a half. But still to this day, I'm much more patient with workers at restaurants, as I know the kind of hell that I can be doing going on in the back. I used to bus tables, actually, at a local steakhouse. I did it for like $6 an hour, not for long. I also briefly was a forklift operator down at the docks. Did that for 3 months. And, there were 3 jobs I held. I was the busboy, I was the forklift operator. What was the third one again? This was years ago. Now I remember, yep. I helped work with the local carpet cleaning business, too. That was short. That was just a vague, small job. I thought I'd want to do it, but it just didn't. It didn't work out. Hey, you gotta. Who knew, right? And lastly, I'd like to ask: do you carry a weapon whilst taking your night walks? Anywhere I go, I do. You don't know what's going to happen. I'd rather not take chances, so of course I do. You don't know when someone's going to try to attack you, so you have to be prepared for that. So absolutely I do. Not to say I ever intend on using it, but should I have to, in a life or death situation, I will without hesitation. My apologies if any of these questions have been asked before. I've only watched approximately the last 12 to 15 VRWs, and I plan on working my way through all the earlier ones in the near future. Thank you for your time. I wish you all the best. Thank you for writing. Next. Greetings, lecturer. I apologize if this message comes through as a duplicate of the previous. Anyways, thanks for responding to my last questions in your recent podcast. It's awesome that you've been to Canada 3 times and tried Tim Hortons. Hope all your visits here were pleasant experiences for you. In response to your question, how many friends do I have? First of all, I have no problem answering this, and can't understand why this question would be an issue for others. Personally, I choose not to limit my friendships to a certain age group or particular environment. I would say that I have 1 or 2 close friends, and each are from different communities that I belong to. In the matrimonial home, my husband is my best and most intimate of all friends, whom I connect with in all areas of life, and not just on the romantic level. In the non-family environment, I have 2 close female friends in my age category, who are trustworthy, and our common goal is to love and be at the service of each other and of those who we meet along the way. Through marriage, I inherited a lot of cousins-in-law, but there are only 3 ladies out of the whole group who I am very close to, and 4 of us usually stick together at family events because we are newcomers still getting acquainted with the new family community we have joined. And finally, out of my age range, I consider my 2 godparents to be my best friends, which is contrary to today's society, who often view godparents simply as distant authority figures. Yes, they have an authority over me, which I still love and respect, but we are also able to do things together that close friends often do, such as going out for dinners, to the movies, symphony and opera outings, having late-night ice cream dates, traveling together, lots of sleepovers. From personal experience, I would also say that when close friends experience moments of suffering or tragedy together, there is an extra level of closeness you feel towards one another, which would not have otherwise been present. It's hard to explain, but I hope it somehow makes sense. I'm also very careful with the friends I choose, and at this point I have no interest in adding to my number of friends, because I am an introvert who by default needs time for herself. Also, I agree with you that there's nothing wrong with you if you only have one friend or no friends at all. It's not about the number of friends you have, but more about if the friends in your life are encouraging you to reach your best potential and be true to yourself. And if they are, then then these friends are a keeper. No further questions for you at this time. Keep the awesome work with your podcasts and reviews. Take care and all the best from Sophia. Thank you for writing, as always, another regular writer. Thank you for that. And glad to hear, everything with your family's going well. And it's always nice to have one big happy family, right? Hello. Well, to reply to the listener question, I really don't have any friends right now, and I don't mind answering the question, but generally if I'm in a real-life situation where people ask me about friends, I wouldn't be so open to discussing it. I'm mostly okay with not having friends right now. It's really not that big of a deal to me since I'm an introvert and like to spend time alone, though hopefully I can make a friend or two sometime in the future. I do, of course, consider you a friend, dear lecturer. Granted, our communication is only through your reading of my letters. Still, you are truly a person I can really relate to and enjoy corresponding with, so thank you for being there for me. Anyway, just wanted to say I really enjoy your cinematography of the car reviews, both the lighting and how the dining establishments being reviewed are framed in the window. I wanted to know, do you have to park in a few different spots to get that now trademark shot of the restaurant behind you? Or do you usually get the view in on the first try? And also, do you purposefully sort of bow your head at the end of each video? Any meaning behind this? Thanks. Thank you, another regular writer there. The regular writers always seem to converge mostly in the Rep Week interview email, and I get to recognize all the familiar faces. That's the one good thing, at least, about this, is that you still get, especially with the emails, you get that element of community that I still remember back in 2014 that really defined the channel. So they're still able to get that, at least, and that's a very nice thing. Well, depending on the location, it can take a couple shots, or it can do it right away. Sometimes you'll get lucky, you'll have a great view of the dining establishment, and then, a big honking truck parks right next to you and blocks the shot. It all depends. But, that's that. And then the head bow at the end. You're the first person to question the head bow. But that is unintentional. It's kind of like me saying in body language, alright, I just talked for 10 minutes. Whew, I'm done. Time to dig in now. It's kind of just giving my neck a little break, because I'm kind of holding my head up high while I'm speaking and enunciating, and once I'm concluded, I'll kind of bend the head, rest the neck a little bit, and kind of just say, alright, we are done for now. Not in a bad way. It's not like saying, oh my god, I'm finally done with this. It's just like saying, alright, we are done. In like a positive way. We did it. Here we go. Make sure I'm still recording again. Yes. Yeah, we are. Okay. Hello, and greetings once again. Seems that the winter didn't last too long here, as the days are already growing hotter and longer. Though I am a little sad that the fashion that comes along with winter will be disappearing soon, I'm glad to be moving away from these cold nights. Very difficult question to answer this week, but I shall try my best nonetheless. I wouldn't say that I have any friends in the real world. After graduating high school and moving away from my hometown, I have lost contact with all the people I was close to a few years ago. Now, this doesn't bother me as much, as I am my own type, to keep to himself, rather than to go out looking to make friends with somebody. Saying this, however, I would say that I have made many friends online. I spend countless hours a day on IRC, talking to people internationally. Now, I've been doing this for a few years now, and would say I've built up a close friendship with quite a few other IRC goers. Moving on. It's that time of the year, or should I say decade again. The Olympics are here, and all around me I'm reading stories about both the buzz of the games and speculations to its demise. And although I like to read into rumored shortcomings of the Olympics, this year I'm joyfully optimistic, as I find it a great nationalistic event. I have just finished watching the opening ceremony. I'd like to speak a little about it. Alright, this is weird. I'm gonna read this paragraph and I'm gonna say something. Nothing with your letter, by the way. Your letter's fine. I found the opening ceremony was broken into 3 thirds. The first being the history of Brazil, the second being modern Brazil and its cultural references therein, and finally the last third being about the flag-bearing portion. Briefly, I enjoyed the first portion about the history of Brazil. Thought the LED screen effect that they used to portray their story was a nice touch, and the dancing and music fit together nicely. However, when it came to modern Brazil section, I was very displeased. I did not agree with the manner in which their dancers portrayed themselves, as well as the music styles and celebrities they chose. I thought that the inclusion of mentioning the Brazilian favelas was a very poor one. The costumes and overall design used in portraying modern-day Brazil were very gaudy and off-putting. I was grateful to see the flag-bearers begin their descent onto the stage. I enjoyed every minute of watching each country march out. I enjoy this segment every year the games are on, as it gives me a moment to realize just how many countries there are in the world, and just how culturally unique each country is. Needless to say, each country was represented in their own unique costume, and the more Western countries adored in suits, whereas other countries are dressed in more classical attire. Off the top of my head, I thought my favorite dress wear this year was Cameroon, France, the Cook Islands, and Japan. As I'm an Australian, I thought my country's formal outfit was fine, though I wish the men had gone for longer trousers than shorts. Oh well. My question for you this week, what did you think of the suits some of the countries are wearing? And as a follow-up question, would you consider doing a review of each country's dress wear, something akin to your NBA draft reviews? As always, thank you for your hard work and dedication. Sincerely, Liam. Thanks for writing, Liam. Wonderful letter there. Here's the weird thing, Liam. Deja vu. I swear I've read this letter before. I mean, I'm positive I read it before. I mean, I distinctly remember sitting there reading this letter, getting up, walking around, and talking about how the Brazilian officials in the Olympics had the best uniforms. Yet clearly I've only gone through the YouTube inbox, and now Rep Week Interview 1 address, so there's no way I've gotten to your letter before, and I know you didn't submit it to the YouTube inbox either. It was such a weird feeling it is, you know? Deja vu. But anyways, well, my deja vu was correct, because I do think that the Brazilian officials, not really the athletes, I wasn't a fan much of their formal wear, but I thought the track and field officials at the Olympics, keeping an eye on this guy, had the best uniforms by far. By far. Thought they had the best uniforms by far. Drapey trousers, nice Panama-style hats, nice traditional jacket, nice tie. So very good uniforms there. Those are my favorites. Excuse me for a minute. Sorry for that momentary break. Next up. Hi, Review Brian. In regards to this week's question, my answer is I have 3 true friends. I have acquaintances that I guess we consider each other friends and would help each other out if a situation arose. But I really only hang out and trust 3 people. I'm pretty introverted, so this works fine for me. I just graduated high school, so it's been nice to finally cut off people who I have to pretend to be pals with. As my friends, one is my younger cousin. We've been pals since we were tiny. The other two are my friends from school, one of which is now my college roommate. They're all wonderful in their own ways, and I love them all. Quick question for you, do you like dogs? I have two, a Shih Tzu named Oscar, who's 12, and a pug named Wilma, who is 6, and is honestly the light of my life. She adores me and I adore her back. Her unconditional love has helped me get through very dark times in life. Pugs are my favorite dogs. Many people think they're ugly, but I think their odd little faces are endearing. And their personalities and hearts are so large and vivacious. They're such clowns. We had another Shih Tzu named Felix, who would have been around 11, but he passed away from cancer this May. Thank you so much for reading this, and I hope you're doing well, from Brooke. Thank you for writing, Brooke. And I think dogs can be pretty cute. The dogs definitely, most dogs at least, will be more affectionate to you than cats may be. But I think cats and dogs are both wonderful for their own little reasons. And I like how each animal can develop its own character, has its own little quirks and what have you. I think that just adds all even more to just the special uniqueness of pets as companions. But I think dogs are fine, Granted, there's some dog breeds I personally would not like to own, such as a pit bull. But, that's just personal preference. I think most dogs are cute, adorable little creatures. Very nice little guys. Hello, love the videos, been watching for many years. Pretty much the only YouTuber I watch. I have 2 questions. Have you considered growing a beard or a mustache? No, sir, I have not. I think the amount of beards and mustaches that are around today and the contemporary association thereof is something I never want. Everyone wants a beard because, people think, if I grow a beard, I'm going to be able to pull off that sexy lumberjack look, and, I'm going to be getting all the women. And, actually that look does work, but you have to pair it. You just can't go with the beard itself. You gotta go beard as big as it can go. Gotta get the waxed mustache going. Gotta just completely shave off the sides and back of your head. Shave in a part on the top, and slick the rest back. Then you gotta work out a bit. Actually, you don't have to work out. You gotta pretend you work out. Wear the tightest jeans you can find. Don't even shop in the men's section, okay? Just go to Forever 21, buy a size of jeans in just any women's size, really. Squeeze those suckers on. Wear, a flannel shirt. And, the kind of construction boots, maybe. And then you're set to go. Then you're going to be the hottest thing in town, according to GQ nowadays. But, no, it's just so cliche. Everyone does it now. Everyone thinks it looks good. I think it's just a meme fad. I think beards can be fine, but I think a lot of the ways people are just donning them and what have you is just so over-exaggerated and so overdone. And it's just comical. If you have a beard, it doesn't bother me any. It's just my views. Just as people have views about my suits, I say let them have their views. It doesn't bother me any. That's just my thoughts on beards. But there are people who can pull them off. Not a ton. But there are people who can successfully pull off the beard. Or a mustache, too. So that's that. I was going to say something else of the beards and mustaches, but I forgot what I was going to say, so we'll just move to the next question. Are there any NASCAR drivers that you particularly dislike? Yeah. Well, he's not a NASCAR driver anymore. He was. I don't think he races anymore, but Juan Pablo Montoya was a race car driver. If you're a big fan of NASCAR, you know he was kind of like the bad guy. He played dirty. He would run people off the track. He would bump other people. Didn't have the best attitude of things, and I was never a fan of him. I couldn't really stand him. So that's that. Favorite NASCAR driver is still Jimmy Johnson. Horrible thing what happened to poor Dale Earnhardt Jr. I really hope the poor guy doesn't have any brain damage, you know. I mean, it's awesome and all to have Jeff Gordon filling in for him. I mean, to bring one of the great legends back onto the track, it's an amazing thing. But at what cost, you know? Real horrible thing that happened with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Given especially the legacy in his family, what happened to his father, and now this, you know, real sad, honestly. Thank you for the nice question. Let's move on here. Dear lecturer, hello. Love your show and reviews. Fascinating to learn about shortwave, too. Hope to build a radio myself out of parts one day. You mentioned when talking about smartphones that you didn't want one because it represents the future and the way things are going isn't good. I'm a big fan of dumb phones over smartphones, although I dig not having one at all. I feel the same apprehensiveness about self-driving cars, and I thought maybe that they would be something good to talk about on the show. I wrote an essay about them a couple weeks back, but it's too long a read on air, so I thought I'd tell you a little bit about it here. So, this private company, they're putting computers with extremely complex software on them inside cars and use cameras and things to automatically drive them. Computers are good at adding up a list of numbers, but they aren't good at making decisions, and they're completely useless at understanding the kind of body language of other human drivers. There's a big question about what computerized car driving software will do during an accident. Will it try to save the car owner, or will it try to minimize the number of deaths, possibly at the expense of your own life? One of the worst things about this is that we have absolutely no way of knowing because the software is a trade secret and nobody is allowed to look at it. It might be full of bugs. The very first death happened just recently. Joshua D. Brown was killed because of his self-driving car. It didn't understand that there was a white van in front. There's also been another accident this month which thankfully wasn't fatal. I'm sure they're going to fix the didn't see the long white van bug that resulted in Joshua's death. But it breaks my heart to think that the human life is a testing ground for working out bugs in a computer program. It's really scary to me because I think that computer programming is such a new field, one that humanity has not become good at yet. Microsoft Windows crashes and gives blue screens all the times. If we can't even make an OS that doesn't crash, how can we be confident in making a car program that doesn't crash? I feel like people are trying to run before they can't safely walk. Love to hear you and your audience's thoughts on this stuff as well, and I wholeheartedly 100% agree. I think self-driving cars are something I don't look forward to, something that will eventually be rolled out, and something that I do not wish to participate in until I'm absolutely forced to do it. I don't like the concept of self-driving cars, especially the fact that a new self-driving car model doesn't even have a wheel on it, meaning you are completely at the mercy of this self-driving apparatus. Alright? You don't even have the ability. Like, if I could understand one thing, if a self-driving, even then I wouldn't do this, but if a self-driving car had like a sensor on the top or something and could just self-drive, but it also still had the normal gas, brake pedals, steering wheel, etc., that should things start to hit the fan, you can just take over and it's just a normal car now that you can still drive. You know? But instead, there's this one model of self-driving car that doesn't even have any gas or brake pedals or steering wheel or anything. Should things go wrong, what are you expected to do? Just bail out? You know, what if it's barreling down the highway and you can't control it? You're just supposed to jump out the door, you know? Get completely destroyed when you hit the pavement. I don't know. I don't like the concept either, my friend. I don't. To answer the show's question on friends, I have two good friends. Both of them live many miles away from me. They're people I talk to online and watch TV shows with sometimes. I do sometimes wish I had friends close by so we could hang out in person, but it also takes a lot of energy that I run out of quickly. For some reason, talking online works a lot better for me, and I think I find it a lot harder to open up and be myself in person, something to work on and improve. Hope this email finds you well. Cheers, and thank you for the great show. And thank you for writing, and thank you for your opinions on the self-driving cars. Another page of letters coming up now. Hey, Review Brah. I've been going back and listening through old VORW shows and decided I would like to contribute some fan art. Here's how I see you in the near future. Anyway, take care. Well, I don't know if this was an accident or if it was supposed to be like this, but it's blank. There's nothing there. So is that supposed to say that I'll be dead in the near future? Because there's nothing there. There's no picture or anything. Or was there an issue in sending? Michael, 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 you sent the email to RepWeekInterview1 and VORWinfo@gmail.com. It was titled Fan Art. Hopefully you know who you are. Let me know if you actually did make a work, because there's an issue in sending it, so please resend it for the next show, and I'd love to showcase it and show it off. Greetings, Review Brah, long-time listener, first-time inquirer. This being the first time commenting on the first-class VORW, just wanted to share my 2 cents on you and your videos. Personally watched a lot of other food reviewers on YouTube and can say with all sincerity that nobody does it better than you. Your food reviews are very honest in terms of you and just being you and not putting on a circus act to get viewership like others do. You actually review the food. You give thorough reviews on food items where you actually share your opinions with the audience and not just chow down for the entire video. Very much appreciate how you do it, always with class, and I always look forward to the VORW every week and do with an absolute marvelous job of the broadcast. So my question for you is, what are your thoughts on the recently released Suicide Squad movie? We'll be going to theater to watch it. Why or why not? Much appreciated, Review Bro. Have a great week. You're the man from Matthew. Thanks for writing, Matthew. And I've heard mixed reactions about the Suicide Squad movie. I think the premise is interesting, but I've heard the execution, no pun intended, of it is mixed. But I'm not going to see it. I'm not a big movie goer myself. But I've heard of it. Hopefully it works out good. Dear lecturer, been a devoted fan of yours for almost a year now, and I enjoy every review, but I particularly love the VORW shows. Can't get enough of your content. I'm always happy to see something new from you. I've wanted to write in for quite some time, but I'm a shy person. I've been nervous about it. I decided to try it anyway because you are so welcoming to your fan base, and I appreciate that. What prompted me to write in was your question regarding friends in VORW 129. I'm also a very introverted person, and I'd probably be a complete recluse if it wasn't for the necessity of going to work each day. When you spoke about how not interacting with other people is a great weight lifted from your shoulders and the stigma others place on people who choose not to have many friends, it's very comforting to hear that. There are many people who simply do not understand that a person may be perfectly content alone, maybe even at their happiest, and hearing someone speak the way you do on this topic made me feel like someone finally understands that there's nothing wrong with finding solace in isolation. It gets tiring having others pity this supposed loneliness or try to be pushy about socializing. Some people are solitary creatures, and that's okay, and I think it's wonderful that you embrace that about yourself. I have one friend. It's a long-distance friendship, as I'm from Delaware and he's from Minnesota. That's all I need. That friendship satisfies the small amount of human interaction that I do crave sometimes. That's enough for me, and I am happy this way. Anyway, sorry for being a bit long-winded. I really think that you're amazing, and I will continue to be a fan of yours. I admire the way you are unabashedly yourself, and you are an incredibly unique individual. It would certainly mean a lot to know that you've received my letter. Keep up the great work, because I love listening to you. Sincerely, Sabrina. Thank you for writing, Sabrina. And message has been received and responded to. And thank you for writing there. Glad to have you listening. I know, that's all you need. Just, it's been the theme of this show, but, I said it a couple minutes ago. Well, it's more than a couple minutes now. Quality over quantity, my friends. Only just recently started listening to your stuff. Was aware of you videos for a long time via Fit, but never really watched. It was your dedication to producing VORW that really make me start to listen. Now I really enjoy your videos. Please keep it up. I think you'll be the Paul Harvey of the 21st century. Tasteful, respectful, and urbane. Also attaching a pic I saw on A, that's the anime board on 4chan. Keep up the good work. Yours from John. Thank you for writing. And, lovely picture there. Yep, with, that's mean. There's, I don't know what that is, but I bet many of you know who that figure in the background is. I don't. But I'm not gonna pretend I do and look like a fool. Dear Review Bro, I'm re-listening to VORW 129, and my response to your question is that I only have one friend. 2, if you count my pet turtle. Thanks for listening. No problem. Turtles can be nice little creatures. They can. They're very docile, but nice. Greetings, dear lecturer. Opta Louise here once more, apologizing for my absence in these last few VORW programs. Some personal issues came up that kept me from promptly messaging you, but everything is resolved now. Anyway, I'll try to keep this short, though I doubt I'll succeed, in order to provide more space for fellow fans of the show who deserve some VORW airtime. Start things off by answering this week's question, how many friends do I have? This is actually an issue that I've been contemplating as of late, as the trials of adult life sometimes leave us melancholy, rethinking our relationships and the events that brought us to where we are now. Well, I have no shame in admitting that I only possess 3 close friends, who are all relics from my time in high school, but who I now consider close family and will gladly follow into the depths of Hades. These friends are the best thing that ever happened to me, having made school tolerable despite my internal feelings of rage and teenage angst, but are also responsible for spoiling me in regards to friendships. You see, lecturer, I suffer from severe social anxiety and make no effort in developing new friendships. After all, I already have these 3 friends. Why would I need more? Sadly, society as a whole doesn't seem to agree with my opinion, and more often than not, adult life forces us to slowly drift away as less and less time can be devoted to our friendly activities of old. Most people would try and find new friends in this situation, but that's something that, at this point, I simply refuse to do. Now, I'd like to make a small but familiar request regarding the Epic Club blog. You see, dear lecturer, we finally reached the end of our first season of Interconnected Comics, and I'd greatly appreciate another shout-out so people can witness the culmination of poorly drawn noodles. Sure, if you, let's just test the water here. Let's make sure the site's looking good. Accessed fine, yeah, it looks fine, alright. No problem, sir. So, shouting out his blog, because, he's a regular writer. He's a good guy, so he deserves to get a little publicity here. Should anyone be interested to check it out, has, comics, cartoons, drawings, etc. epicclubblog.blogspot.com. That's epicclubblog.blogspot.com. Epic Club Blog. Remember, 2 C's and 2 B's there. A C at the end of epic, and a C at the beginning of club, and a B at the end of club, and B at the beginning of blog. epicclubblog.blogspot.com. I'm currently working on a script for the next season, and I hope it's even better. Well, it's kind of hard to get any worse at this point, am I right, fellas? Anyway, here's an excerpt from the new script, and if you think fellow listeners would like to take an auditory peek, sure. First panel. Satan is holding Optilouise's girly beverage as Optilouise continues to relax in front of the lake of fire. Satan, listen. Things aren't really working out. It's time for you and Max to leave. Panel 2. Optilouise looks genuinely hurt, while Satan throws his beverage into the lake of fire. Optilouise. What? Max and I are your best friends. Satan. I met you 2 pages ago. Panel 3. Optilouise is angry, and gets up from his chair angrily. Optilouise. And they were some damn fine pages, sir. I believe that's all for now. Hope this silly excerpt may have garnered a chuckle or two. Thanks so much for your great show lecture, as I love to listen to it while drawing and editing. Since your channel's become part of my daily routine, I guess I kind of consider you a friend now. I'm a bit old-fashioned in that regard, since I believe that presence is extremely important in part of any relationship, but despite this, if you or the Report of the Week channel ever require the help of ECB, simply summon us through the usual internet wizardry. Chainsaw cheers, Optilouise signing off. Thank you, regular writer. Thank you for writing, as always. And I wish you the best luck with your blog and the contents therein. Hello, Review Papa. It's been quite a while since I last wrote in, however, I've been listening and watching regularly. And you seem very well per your uploads. I can't seem to remember the last VORW question, but I'll fill in some of the ones I do remember. Favorite color is purple. Deep and dark and almost navy purple. I don't know why, I just find it pleasing, and many color combinations to go well with the shade of purple. Favorite fizzy drink is soda water, assuming beer isn't included. Boring, I know, but I have given up soda pop long ago. It's made me feel healthier and fitter. In addition, I feel as though I can taste my food better in the absence of sugary, salty soda papa. The number of friends that I have is hard to gauge. I have many acquaintances with the potential to become close friends, but I try my best not to spread too thin. I currently have about 3 or 4 very close friends with whom I share most of my life with, not including anyone I may be dating. Moving across the country a few years ago really solidified the need for good social friends. Knowing almost no one when I first moved was incredibly stressful, but fortunately, over time, I have been blessed with some good people to keep me company as we go through this crazy journey called life together. As you mentioned, you've got one solid friend, but don't overlook the droves of people who flock to your voice for comfort and support. You've touched many people across this country and beyond, and I hope we also have made an impact for the better on you. When I last wrote in, I asked your favorite animal. You said penguins. I'm curious to know if this is because they always look like they're dressed up. Recently I took a cross-country trip over 11,000 miles, which is part of the reason I haven't contacted you in a while. Coast to coast, and then back to the west. I've been writing a serialized story format, some of my journey, and I'm wondering if I were to send you any of it, would you be willing to read it on the air? I have 6 chapters already, but see it going to 30 plus. Don't want to unload a bunch of material you don't care about, but if you'd be interested in regular material for the VORW, I can definitely mail you when it gets written. One last question for you. If you could make any changed your current lifestyle, regardless of consequences, what would it be? As always, your friend in California, where a new South swell is making the waves so great, Alex. Thank you for writing, Alex. Regular writer there as well. Many familiar faces here on VORW. And if I could change, if you could make any change to my current lifestyle, regardless of consequences, what would it be? So any change whatsoever. I mean, if I could make any change, I'd give myself... I mean, I know this isn't what you're asking, but I'm going to say it anyways because I want to. If I could make any change, I would give myself magical money detection abilities. So if there's ever money lying around, I know where it is and I can get it. And maybe I won't be making much every day, but it's at least something. Silly. I know. Thank you for writing, though, and hope everything's going well in Cali. Hope the weather's nice over there. Must be fairly hot, but hopefully a nice ocean breeze is keeping things cool. For the past 2 weeks, I haven't been able to watch a channel, or any other channel for that matter, as I currently am halfway through a month-long visit to Kansas City to visit my girlfriend. I hope you and the channel are doing well. You recommended that I try Steak and Shake whilst I was here, which I must thank you for. It was delicious. Your country is great, and I look forward to these next few weeks I have left here. I don't know if I'll be able to watch any videos you've uploaded this August, for which I apologize for. I'll watch as much as I can when I get home to England. I have no questions for you this time, for which I apologize. Sincerely hope you are doing okay. You're a great guy, and have become my favorite personality on YouTube. Keep up the good work, and stay happy and safe. Thank you, and thank you for writing. Steak and Shake is a good establishment. Very good. Glad you enjoyed it. And hope your visit to your girlfriend worked out well as well. Hope you enjoyed your time here in the States. Good afternoon, lecturer. I've been procrastinating a lot recently, so I'll go ahead and respond to the last 2 questions of VORW as fast as I can. My dream job, been thinking about it since I was a teenager, and it might sound silly, but I've always wanted to be a YouTuber. Problem is that YouTube was a very different place 7 years ago. Whenever I look at the homepage today, I see how many people are uploading a video, and I think to myself, maybe I'm a little late to this party. I often daydream what could have happened had I decided to start uploading videos way back in the day. Still carry my journal, and I like to write ideas for videos and sketches, but at least for now, I don't think that'll be happening anytime soon. Hey, no, you never know. If you ever got free time, give YouTube a go still. Yeah, there's more competition, but at the same time, there's more people watching YouTube than ever before, and I know people are all, upset about the terms of service with the advertisements. People, they're going to get over it. Don't let that turn you off. People are going to say, it's... Well, I'm not going to use those terms here, but people are going to say they're effectively scamming everyone out with these terms of service for the advertisements and whatnot. But people are going to get over it. I mean, look at what happened with the Fine brothers, right? Oh, they were the scum of the earth, right? They were the Antichrist. They were these horrible people. I hope their channel dies, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden they just make a video, teens react to Donald Trump, and now everyone's back. Yeah, I love this video, the best channel ever, let's resub to these guys, And then they make another video on a hot button issue, elders react to latest movie release, children react to latest violent video game, etc., etc., and people eat that right up, and they've far surpassed anything that they've lost at this point. So, yeah, people are going to get upset at YouTube for a little while, but they'll come crawling right back before you know it. So don't let anything like that turn you off. And if you have an idea and you ever want to initiate it, just do it. You have nothing to lose. If the video doesn't get any views, it doesn't get any views, but you never know. Maybe it will. Right? for me, it's not about the views at all. It's about really the experience and doing what you consider fun and enjoyable. I think that's far more important than views and all of that. You know, if I say, if I get views, I get views. If I don't, I don't. That's that. On to the next question. I do have friends, but I only consider myself to have 4 real friends. Met all of them during the 3rd grade. It's a pretty funny story. You know about the butterfly effect? Well, we were celebrating Christmas at my school. We had a little Christmas tree, and our teacher each gave us a Christmas bauble. We wrote our name on it and hung it on the tree. These 4 little rascals were causing a havoc near the tree and accidentally knocked off my bauble, shattering it into a million pieces. They apologized and bought me a slice of pizza as an apology. The next day they called me to hang out during recess, and lo and behold, 13 years later, we're still kicking it. Kind of crazy how something as insignificant as accidentally breaking a Christmas ornament can cause such a big chain of reactions. What if they were a little bit further away from the tree? There are like 30 baubles on the tree, why mine? What if the teacher had decided to put the tree somewhere else? Anyway, it's just a personal story of mine that I really like. Thank you for listening. I look forward to you hitting the 100K milestone before the end of the year. It's a big number. You should feel proud as hell for it. I'm sure you can make it. Have a good one. Well, thank you for writing. And, yeah, the butterfly effect, it's pretty crazy stuff how the most insignificant of events can make the most significant of changes. You know, it's crazy. I think it is, at least. And thank you for your support, by the way. Hello, John. I've been a fan of your reviews for a while now, via people posting and not mocking on Facebook. Just today discovered that you have an interest in shortwave and other programming, like Idle Mind and the VORW show. You are prolific, and it's very exciting. I'm listening to VORW show 129 on YouTube right now. About 30 minutes in, you discussed the pulling of the Rosary and Latin Mass from Vatican Radio, except for weekends and feast days of note. I had to email and ask if you were raised Catholic, and if so, do you consider yourself a Catholic now? You do have many fans that I'm aware of that are not only Catholics, but even traditional Catholics, including myself. If you are not, or do not feel like answering, I understand. I just thought I'd ask. And if you'd answered this before on air, I'm sure I'll get to it eventually. Another question I have is I'm on a very tight budget right now, and I was wondering if you'd recommend a website for shortwave listening. I can totally just Google it, but thought I'd ask if there was one you recommended. Thanks a bunch, and please continue the great work, from John. Thank you for writing, John. For the first question, unfortunately, just due to how things are now, I'm not really going to cover too much personal info, but maybe some other day we'll get to that. Secondly, I recommend you try out this website called websdr.org. That's websdr.org. You'll have this list of links, and click on the first one to supposed to be the University of Twente, WebSDR in the Netherlands. And check out some of the early VORWs that talk about the WebSDR, how to use it. Fully functional online shortwave radio, and I recommend you try it out. Now, if you're interested in Catholic programming on shortwave, highly recommend, and if you do get a cheap shortwave receiver, even this station you'll be able to pick up no problem in the States, is EWTN Radio. I'm sure you're familiar with EWTN. They have a shortwave station as well. Tune into their frequency of 15610 kilohertz. That's 15610 kilohertz. And they usually have very strong signals. They broadcast both the Catholic Mass. They have relays from Vatican Radio. They have Catholic talk programs, Catholic Answers, all those programs that you may be interested in. So that's a broadcast to see if you might be interested in listening to. Vatican Radio also does have various English programs throughout the day still, mostly beamed to Asia or Africa, but some of them do propagate to Europe and even North America at times as well. Okay. And for anyone else, I mean, if you're interested in shortwave, if you're looking to get into it, you want to know if there's a certain type of station, I'll gladly help you out. Just write into VORW, just ask, you know. If you want to know if there's any good news stations to listen to, any good cultural stations, any good stations that play a certain type of music, any classical music stations, jazz, rock, etc. You know, any good political talk shows on shortwave, any religious programming that's good, any good pirate radio stations, just ask. Just ask. I have no problem with helping people out with shortwave stations. I think the more shortwave listeners there are, the better it is for the hobby in general. So if you have any advice or any questions for any particular, just let me know. Review lecture John Bra. Hope I'm not too late for the big 1:30, but here goes. How many friends do I have? 1. She's my co-worker, and I'm moving away to Virginia next month, so after that I will have 0 friends. Hopefully I'll be able to make new friends at a new job or something. My sister has always wanted us to be best friends, but sometimes I feel like it has to be on her terms. If we hang out, it has to be hunting or camping or drinking with her redneck friends. She says the things I spend my time with are a waste, but I just don't see it that way. I do have friends online, about 15 of them, all from the same guild in World of Warcraft. I wish we all lived closer to each other. It feels weird talking to someone every day yet never seeing them, but we've all known each other for about 2 years, and that's pretty cool in my opinion. That's pretty much all I have to say about. It's been a busy week, so I've got some reviews to catch up on. Can't wait for the next VORW from Ashley, Seattle, Washington, soon to be Ashley from Virginia Beach. Well, thank you for writing, Ashley. And I understand the situation, you know. Having to do something on someone else's terms doesn't necessarily perhaps seem fair or enjoyable, and then you might just wonder, well, why even bother in the first place if, you know, what am I really going to even be getting out of this? No, I understand there. Let's see how many left. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 letters, 3 of which are from regular writers. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you are interested in writing to the show, 3 ways to do it. YouTube.com/YouTube/ReportOfTheWeek. Click on the About tab, send a message, type the contents of your message in there, and send it off. Or if you're more of an email person, repweekinterview1@gmail.com. It's REPWEEKINTERVIEW1, 1 or VORWinfo@gmail.com. Remember, the question of this show was an interesting one. Do you think Bigfoot exists? And if you think so, and if you even have any experiences you'd like to share, let me know. I think it'd be quite interesting to find out. So, looking forward to hearing any responses we get. And if you think Bigfoot is all a big load of bull, let me know as well. You're listening to VORW, the voice of the Report of the Week. Dear John, hope this letter makes it in, as I'm a little late. No, don't worry. Don't worry, it's been a while since the last show, so you've made it in early, to be honest. To answer your question from the last VORW show, I also have only one friend, and I feel like I don't need more. I have known her since we were 6 years old, and there isn't a thing I couldn't tell her. I feel like growing up together has made our bond more special, and something that is near impossible to find as an adult. Now, at one point I had many acquaintances, but after some time I just couldn't take it and slowly cut them off. It just didn't feel right. And there were people who had very different values, and spending time with them seemed somehow pretentious. Having tried the normal social life, I can say with confidence that it isn't for me. Maybe I'm just too much of an introvert, but would take one true friend over 20 acquaintances any day. Thank you for taking the time to read my letter. Have a beautiful week, from Maria. Thank you for writing, Maria. And I think the theme is apparent in terms of friends. Quality over quantity. And I think that's a very valid point and a very true one. I think having one true friend over 20 acquaintances is much more special and important than having the other, than just having a ton of acquaintances and no real friends. Thank you again for writing. Greetings and salutations, most esteemed lecturer. In response to your question, I'd say I have maybe 2 or 3 people that I would consider to be friends. My definition of a friend is someone I'm comfortable engaging with socially, and there aren't many people like that out there. I've never been this kind of person who makes a bunch of friends. That used to bother me, but lately I've learned to appreciate it more. I think I'm just picky about the people I'd rather than completely be socially inept. Your friend, or at least your online acquaintance, Chelsea. Thank you for writing. Long-time listener. And that's fine, whatever anyone's really most comfortable with, in my opinion. Hi, Review Bro. I just got into your videos recently, and I'm really enjoying them. Hope you keep making more. I know you're into shortwave listening. Are you into amateur radio at all, or have you ever been? What are your thoughts on amateur radio? Thanks, Josh from England. I think amateur radio is very interesting, though. I'm more into the SWL part of shortwave. I like listening to the broadcasters. But I think amateur radio can be just as fun as well. Thank you for writing. Hey, John. Long time no speak, buddy. And don't worry, I didn't forget you, champ. I actually had a ton of vacation time accumulated up at work, and the company I work for just bought into Hulu, so I figured I'd use a few of the week's vacation during the sloppy merger. I was actually at one of your Report of the Week travel destinations. Not a terrible idea for the channel. Over in Hawaii for a week. I had actually never been there. Absolutely fantastic scenery. Plus, while I was there, I get an emergency call that my older sister went into labor while I was out there, so I had to fly all the way back to the East Coast on a red-eye flight. In any case, I got back, and now I have a nephew added to the flock. Oh, that's great. I mean, Hawaii is just a beautiful place, and when you're there long enough, what's even crazier is you're just driving around, trying to get to the hotel or the restaurant or some scenic site or the beach, and you just look around you and everything is just so incredibly pristine and beautiful. You have these luscious mountains in every background and tropical foliage, and you have just beautiful clouds everywhere and rainbows and the beach and, you name it, it's there. And eventually you just get used to it. You just can't believe what you're seeing. And, it's how it everywhere there is. It's such a beautiful place. Anyway, how have you been, man? See, you've been busy, brother. Just not able to listen to the last VORW. I was able to listen to the last VORW you did on the plane ride back. Still got a lot of catching up to do. And what's this I hear about ball busters? What happened? Notice you got a bunch of jerk-offs giving you a hard time. Total morons. As you know, they're just a bunch of knuckleheads jealous of what you do. Don't let them get you down. As you know, I always have positive words of encouragement for you, so I'll start with a good Oasis story, as you and I are both big Oasis fans. So when Oasis was first starting out, Liam was just getting his bearings as a performer. As you can imagine, in the smaller venues, while starting out, there were hecklers. So this one group would come into the pub all the time and irritate the crap out of Liam while on stage. So one night, one of the hecklers tosses a bottle at Liam. Liam, fed up and angered, grabs the mic and says to him, lighter words edited for your channel, "Hey, listen, man, you want to play? Here's the stage, here's the mic, I'll go down there, have a pint, and you do my flippin' job. If not, F off, and let me work." This turned the crowd against the heckler, and the heckler was now put on the spot. The heckler, of course, folded like a cheap pair of twos, because he knew that he could not only do what Liam did, but also that his own talent was only limited to being a ball buster. Funny point of the story was, you know what happened to that heckler? He became a roadie for Liam and Noel a short time later. No BS, I kid you not. So like history shows, today's enemies either become our allies or simply fade into obscurity. The choice is theirs. I also noticed you had mentioned that you never really understood why anyone watches or listens to your channel, and that you feel it was anything special. As one of the earliest listeners, I can tell you why. and I hope your other loyal listeners feel a similar way. When my girlfriend first showed me your channel, and I first watched you, you were a bright-eyed kid who was earnestly just reviewing energy drinks and enjoying himself. The first thing I said to myself was, these assholes are going to patronize this kid non-stop until it breaks his spirit and he doesn't want to be bothered any longer. And they did, but a funny thing happened. You got knocked down, but kept getting back up, again and again. You got your balls busted repeatedly with nonsense, but like the champion that you are, you kept showing heart and kept fighting. No matter how bad things seemed, you kept getting back up. At the end of the day, each of us, no matter what our current profession want to be, that determined, but very few have it. You, my brother, have it, in spades. I can say this with the utmost sincerity. I've done a lot of things in my life. I worked for 2 horror film companies, 1 energy drink company, boxed professionally, played baseball and football in the college level, and even a year in the minor leagues as a baseball player in Trenton. Worked as a stuntman, actor, and even getting beheaded in a creature feature movie, and everything in between before getting into finance, as you can Google me and confirm my beheading story. But never once did I have the courage to fight through like you do. You are not only a winner, but the way you built your channel up, but more importantly, you are genuine, sincere, funny, and effortlessly humble. You are like a real-life Rocky story. Great series, by the way. You are constantly underestimated, but in the face of adversity, and all is said and done, you got balls to come up in a dump truck, and you're still standing when the fight's over. On that note, let me end this less sappy note, as Lauren is telling me to wrap it up and your viewers are either going to be in tears or fall asleep. I got some new energy drink news in the horizon in the next few weeks. I'll drop on you. And I got some work to do, catching up on your videos you posted. But in the meantime, keep punching, and if you need anything at all, never hesitate to call the bat phone. Talk to you soon, champ. Thank you very much for that lovely letter, my friend. Great to have such a long-time listener here, still from 2011. And really thank you for those very kind words there. And no matter what, the channel's going to keep going on. It's going to keep continuing. And I'm not gonna stop this for anyone. You know, I've had tons of trolls to deal with, tons of haters, even stalkers. But no matter what, I'm not stopping this channel. You know, this ride ain't stopping for no one. It's not. The greatest challenge this channel ever faced came recently this year with some real actual stalking problems, but I didn't stop. I kept going. Now those problems have come to really pass. Things are getting better, and I'm still just keeping on doing what I'm doing no matter what. You know, I know it's just energy drink reviews and food reviews, but I'm not going to stop them. I'm not. I'm just going to keep being who I am and doing what I do, and just continuing at this channel as I please. And that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for listening. This is VORW, the voice of the Report of the Week. And that's all we have. Remember, please write in. Please respond to the question of this program. And I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you. I know I still have some letters that I might have missed, but if you still want to write in, be my guest. I'd love to hear some interesting responses for this question, and I think the next show is going to be a fun one and an interesting one. Hoping to do this again next week, get on a regular schedule again. Thank you very much for listening, and take care. Have a great weekend, have a great week. Happy Labor Day, happy September. I wish you all the very best in your endeavors. VRW number 130 concluded.